Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, amazing law nerd. We are back together. It's Thursday, it's August 27th. We're on the defense case in Nevada versus Keffe D for the murder of Tupac Shakur. Remember, he is being tried for first-degree murder. They are not alleging that he pulled the trigger. This is an aiding and abetting theory. Yes, there is also conspiracy language. There's like 3 different ways the jury can find that he was inextricably involved in this shooting, but they are not alleging that he is the one that pulled the trigger. And now we are in the defense case. We went through, 25 witnesses with the prosecution. We ended on the defendant's own words, because of course we did. And I think we'll see a lot of that in closing arguments. I anticipate we'll see closing arguments on Monday. The defense yesterday said they had 3 witnesses, maybe 2 hours. And the prosecution said, hey, we've got rebuttal witnesses. Will the prosecution call the rebuttal witnesses? Will they not? I don't know. I guess we're going to wait and see. Who did we not see testify yet, whose names we've heard a lot of? Well, Suge Knight, for one. Do I think we'll see him testify? Probably not. Do I really want that to happen? 100% I do. 100% I do. I want to see Suge testify. I don't think that's a realistic expectation, but we can have expectations that aren't realistic sometimes. We heard about Detective Mogg from Las Vegas Metro PD. Will we see Detective Mogg testify? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. We heard a lot of Greg Kading's name. Are we going to see Greg Kading testify? I would guess probably not. And for the defense, I think some of those witnesses are better left hanging out there the way that they did with Proctor. Let the jury assume the worst. Don't let the witness come in and answer or provide reasonable answers at best. Could they be rebuttal witnesses? Sure. And the other name we heard a lot was Diddy. Sean Puffy Combs. Do I think we'll see Sean Puffy Combs testify? Absolutely not. Was he on the witness list? Yep. Do I think we're going to see him testify? No. And the judge began the colloquy with the defendant yesterday about his right to testify. Do I think we will see the testimony of defendant Duane Keffe D Davis in his own defense today? No. No, I don't. Did I say we were on day 10? Did I say day 9? I don't remember. It's day 9. No matter what I said before, we're not there yet. It's day 9. 9,752. I might have said 10. Either way, we're on day 9. But do I think the defendant will testify? No. Why not? Well, what did the defense start with in their opening statements? They had a giant screen that said, "My client is known for bullshit." So I don't know if the defense can do an opening statement based on the fact that Keffe D, if his lips are moving, he's probably lying, and then turn around and put him on the stand. I don't think that can happen. I think that would be kind of wild. But this trial's been kind of wild, and maybe it'll be like sharks doing shark things. It's like, what I said in opening, pish posh. Here's the defendant. And you know what we haven't seen? We haven't seen testimony. The defense said we would. We have not seen testimony that Keffe D was a known bullshitter. We have not seen testimony that, Keffe D is a big fish story kind of guy. You got to take everything and maybe chop it in half. You know, if he's saying he's moving 300 kilos of cocaine, it's maybe 100 kilos of cocaine. If he says he's making $15 million a month, maybe he's making $2 million a month. Like you can't really take it to the bank. You got to just bring it down a notch. We didn't hear any of that testimony. We heard that Keffe D was a kingpin. We heard that Keffe D was moving a lot of drugs all over the U.S. We heard that Keffe D was making that money. We heard a lot about what Keffe D thinks about Keffe D and everyone else. We heard about that one time at that one party where Keffe D got a drink thrown on him by Busta Rhymes. We heard all about Suge Knight at the Source Awards. But we didn't hear a witness come in and say, Keffe D was always just kind of just talking. And we all just knew. And we know those people, right? You know the people who it's like, well, there's a lot of hyperbole added to that. I'm going to gild the lily a little bit. That's not what we heard about Keffe D. We heard that he was a big baller, shot caller, kingpin. And we also heard a lot of him saying that he was the one that got the gun from Zip, handed it to the back seat of his car, And then shots came from the back seat, though he did put the gun in the hand of his nephew, Orlando Baby Lane Anderson. That's what we heard a lot in this trial. The prosecution rested yesterday after about, 30 minutes of, the defendant's own statements, and the defendant just mouthing words in court. We do know the defendant likes to talk. I don't think he's going to get on the stand and do it, though. I don't think he wants these prosecutors to cross-examine him, and I think it goes against the theory of the case. We're going to go to court. We're going to see what witnesses the defense brings in. They say there's 3. I guess we'll see. We're going to get to we'll get to a rebuttal case today. And then it looks like closing arguments on Monday. Tomorrow, they should... Hi, Fred. Tomorrow, my cat. Tomorrow, they should be doing... George, not Fred. Hi, George. Tomorrow, they should be doing the charging conference where they decide the jury instructions. If that is streamed, we will stream it together and we'll talk about it. Jury instructions are really interesting. We'll see at the end of the court day today what we'll be doing in court tomorrow. I don't think the jury will be there tomorrow. All right, we're going to roll the intro. We're going to go to court. We got maybe a full court day. Maybe we'll get to the very end of evidence today. We're going to let it unfold and see what happens because court is unpredictable. Let's go. That audio is not in the right place. This is your go-to destination for live court coverage. I break down the law, the strategy, and the evidence in real time so you know what's happening. No law degree required. So join the law nerds in the chat. They're here for the facts, not and let's get to court. All right, let's go to court. Hopefully the audio was better today. I think it was just an interface issue. Look, lawyers fight with technology. Who's got a I need to move myself. Hold on. Somebody's just got a green monster just sitting on their desk. I bet that's the bailiff. Give me 1 second. I got to move me. Wait, no. Emily, you moved the wrong thing. Oh, wrong one, Emily. Don't move the whole... Darn it. Don't move the whole thing. Move me. There we go. We got hydration and caffeination. Right. We got to be caffeinated and hydrated. I bet you 100% that is the bailiff in court. I don't think I've seen a judge that allows you to just have cans up on your desk in court. Normally the bailiffs will keep stuff like in a drawer or under their desk, but not just like sitting out in court. But, I would imagine if you're the bailiff dealing with Keffe D, you might need an energy drink too. I imagine Keffe D has a lot to say to everybody. Keffe D is coming out today. Same shirt and tie we've seen. Blue jacket today.
377-407.
And we're back on the record, nice and quick.
We are now into defense case. Defense has a couple witnesses to get through. State has some rebuttal witnesses on deck in case they decide they want to call them. Anything we need to address outside the presence?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, let's bring the jury in.
The whole defense team has like a blue on black theme going today. I love that everybody's coordinated. I'm here for it. Look how easy peasy that was. Anything? Nope. Let's get to the defense's first witness. Jury's coming in. Great. Jury's coming in. Maybe by the end of this trial, I'll be able to stop fighting with technology, but who knows? Because streaming is dynamic. Hi, George. Hi, buddy. How are you? Good to see you, my dude. George is just off camera because he likes being just off camera. Why change the jacket now? I don't know. Somebody might have just brought it to him. He might not have had it before. He might want to rep that blue because we're in the defense case.
Which one calls first?
Maybe he had a little bit too much pit sweat on the other one after yesterday. Maybe him looking at a video of him mouthing to the witnesses. Maybe a little sweat. We just need a replacement. All right, jury's coming in. Don't worry, we'll fly in a little bit so that the replay crew can join us on our flight. George is taking up the entirety of this side of my desk. He's on the books. I think Keffe D invented the blazer.
Mm-hmm. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are now into the defense case in chief. Mr. Stamp, who will be your first witness?
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to call Stan Hite to the stand.
Okay.
Defense witness number 1. Stand. Actually, you guys might not have known this, but Keffe D in fact invented cerulean blue. Yeah. It's not lapis. It's cerulean. He in fact invented the color cerulean. Indigo as well. And the ancient wisdom of dyeing clothes. Yeah. Actually, I've heard that he was the inspiration for the movie The Devil Wears Prada. In fact, it was based on Keffe D's fashion sense. He also inspired the movie Showgirls, and his favorite designer, Versace, was featured prominently in that film.
The testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
What on Thursdays we wear blue? Witness has a blue shirt. The judge's research attorney or court clerk is also wearing blue, like a very royal blue. Today is just on Wednesdays we wear pink. On Thursdays we wear blue. Everybody got the memo today.
You may be seated.
He did actually invent fire. He did. He said, I drop takes that are
May I
so
please have
hot,
you state and spell your first and last name for the
burst
record?
into flames.
Stan Height, H-Y-T.
Thank you, sir. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Samp, you may proceed.
Sir, I'm turning your attention back to the year of 1996.
Yes, sir.
How were you employed?
I was with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I was an officer working overtime on that date.
Okay, and when you say you were working overtime, how does that work exactly? Explain to the jury.
Well, see,
When there's certain special events.
it's in addition to your regular work time, and then you work overtime. Yeah, it looks like the witness took his wallet out from the pocket of his pants. I mean, it is a big wallet. Took his wallet out from the pocket of his pants and put it on the stand. His phone too. Yeah, the witness just emptied his pockets and just put them on the stand. So sure. See, it's when you have a job and then you work overtime from that job and then you get paid.
They ask people officers to sign and volunteer to work overtime assignments. They pay time and a half.
And you know what the reason was for the need for additional officers on this particular night?
It was a night that Mike Tyson was fighting. It was a collective of people getting together for partying. They wanted to keep the peace, basically, keep things civil.
Right, and with regards to those types of events back in the day when we had boxing as our main feature,
Right.
There's a couple of us in the audience that probably is unfamiliar with how Las Vegas was. Can you describe for us a little bit about the...
I don't really care what the audience knows. Are we talking about the jury? I don't care what the audience knows. Are we talking about are we thinking that people are unfamiliar with there being a large event in Vegas and a large influx of people for the event? Okay.
just overall amount of people coming to Las Vegas for something like a fight?
Well, Mike Tyson was a big name. Obviously, I'm sure most of you all know him. He was making like $30 million a fight. He was.
They might know him from the Hangover movies more than from his fighting career, but sure.
He was winning his fights within a minute and a half, 2 minutes. I think that particular night he did also. He won one of his fights, got paid big, and they were ready to party.
Now, and just to be fair, your role was not to deal with the Mike Tyson fight.
No, it was the Suge Knight event. Yeah.
So
No,
you
not,
were
not Sugar Ray Leonard, Suge Knight. We've conflated people.
role was not to deal with the Mike Tyson fight.
No, it was the Suge Knight event. Yeah.
So you were, and just explain a little bit for the jury, what were your role that night? What were you supposed to be doing?
Basically, just keep the peace, make sure there was no fights, no shootings, nobody get killed, type thing.
Okay.
That was basically our.
And when you say you were there to make sure to keep the peace,
They didn't want it to get rowdy?
Were you
At Suge Knight's residence, there were several of us hired to do this.
Hired by
I'm
who?
now going to show you what's been marked, and
I'm really curious who hired them, because Suge was in a private housing community. So I'm curious if Suge's the one that hired them. It kind of sounds like that.
it
Yeah, well.
Yeah, chat's
a bit
like
about stipulation.
that didn't work out. Well, nobody got shot at
Looks
Suge's
like defense BBB,
house.
defense AAA, defense YY. May I approach, Your Honor?
Okay, those may be admitted.
Thank you. Just take a look at these until they be recognized.
Yes, that's the area that we were assigned, right?
You have
That's the
to
entry. Okay, yeah.
And then just look at this one as well.
We have a map.
It's the same one. And that's an extended view of it, yeah.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Showing you what's been marked as defense exhibit YY. This, can you explain to the jury what this image is here?
This is a neighborhood involved. The green area, the park area up above would be,
So what you can do, sir, because we don't have a way for you to
Okay.
do that. First and foremost, is this an overall view of the Las Vegas Strip? Looks like the airport and a few other things.
Yes.
Okay. You could actually step down off the
Okay.
chair if you want and just point to an area that we're talking about.
This motherfucking map. The font choice, the color choice on the font. There is stuff in white lettering that is impossible to see. There is stuff in red lettering that is impossible to read.
But before you do that, I'm going to show you what's been marked and admitted already as defense exhibit AAA. Do you recognize this photograph?
yes.
Look at
Okay.
this
And
photograph.
can you explain to the jury what this photograph is?
That's the area of the, I think it's Sierra Rancho Estates, where Suge Knight lived.
Okay. So up over here, just for the jury's edification, what would this be?
It's just a desert area.
Okay. Are you sure that's not the airport?
Is it?
I imagine this is a newer map, given that it does say Sunset Park Pickleball Complex. I'd never heard the words pickleball. In 1996, counsel's pointing with a red pen at what may be the corner of the airport, and the witness is like, seriously, IDK. But if we look back, I'm going to just zoom back just for us to the last map. If we look at the last larger map, you can see the airport, and then I think these areas down at the bottom of the map that have red like location markers on them, I think that's the neighborhood that we are discussing. So yes, that would be the they would be kind of catty corner to one another, the housing complex and the airport. So sure. What would have helped is if they had put the same markers on both maps, and then it would be easy to
Can you explain to the jury what this
orient
photograph is?
yourselves.
That's the area of the,
I'm going to zoom till we get back to that. Is this the airport? I don't know.
okay,
Down over here, do you recognize what this is here?
it's a golf area.
He said it's a golf area. It looks like maybe a circle of baseball fields. It says there's a pickleball complex. Sure.
You can get a little closer if you want to that screen.
It's
if it
a
helps.
neighborhood. Sunset.
No, it's 20 years ago.
I know.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's almost 30, actually.
Yeah, basically it's just Sunset Park, the whole, that's all.
All right. If you could just help us out real quick and just point to the general area in which you were assigned that particular night.
Okay, I believe it was,
Where were you assigned?
I can't with any certainty.
He's
I'm
like, I don't
sorry.
know.
That's okay. So what we're looking at here.
It was adjacent to the park, I'm not getting the,
He said he was assigned adjacent to the park. This whole line of questioning is giving, you've never spoken to this witness before. You didn't prepare this witness. It would not be inappropriate for the defense to sit down with this witness, show him the maps, and say, okay, this street is this street is that, this street is this. Does that orient you to the map? Okay. You were adjacent to the park at the entrance of the housing community. On this map, take a minute and let's talk through which entrance you were at. You can sit down and have that conversation with your witness before you put them on the stand. This map is faded. It is difficult to see. There are no street markings and the witness is not oriented to it. But it makes the witness come across as if they're not sure what they're talking about. And that's not really the witness's fault. Because a lot of us, if you sat us down with a map and asked us about something 30 years ago, it would take us a minute to be oriented to the map. This testimony is embarrassing.
It's been too long for me.
Okay. You can just sit down for that. Don't worry about that.
Sorry
Just
about
sit
that.
down.
That's all right. It's been 30 years. Now, let me ask you this, though. Fair enough to say, as a police officer, if
That's
you
on the
are called to
defense.
testify, God forbid, 30 years after an event occurs, what would be the material you would use to help refresh your
My
record?
officer's report at the time.
Right. And with regard to these officers' reports, for instance, critical piece of your tool set as a police officer?
Very critical.
So, like in this case there, you don't remember 30 years later certain things? Yes?
Right.
Okay.
I've really never patrolled that area. That was just an assignment for that one night for me.
Sure.
I've always been in the Northwest, so
No
I
worries.
wish I could have identified Suge Knight's residence better.
Now, in this particular regard, I'm going to turn your attention to
Yeah, if you guys had had a conversation yesterday, I bet that would be easier. Seeing that there was like 30 minutes of court yesterday, this officer probably could have sat down and talked to the defense about it, but here we are. I put that on the lawyer, not the witness. I bet you the witness has not read his report or been provided it. And I bet you that this witness has not had a chance to look at the map, but let's see what he's here for. It's just when your beginning of your first witness is like, oh yeah, I don't know. It's rough.
the Suge Knight residence. Can you tell
I bet
us what
Suge's
what
really
you actually
glad that
did
his
at the
residence is not being
I was with another officer and we
Discussed.
were at a gate.
More
and
specifically.
We basically stayed at the gate while an entourage of vehicles came through. Approximately 15 vehicles came through, and the last one being Suge Knight's.
Okay, now with regard to the entourage of vehicles, where did they?
Did he call him Suge Knight again? Dun, 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 honey. This is fantastic. This is fantastic.
Go.
In through the gate. I never went in through the gate, so I didn't see where they went after they entered the gate.
Okay. And with regard to the vehicles that went in, did you recognize or give note of any of the vehicles that were in there?
The last one was Suge Knight's. It was a cream-colored Cadillac.
What? I'm sorry,
And I'm
what?
sorry, I just want to make sure.
Suge Knight was driving a cream-colored Cadillac? Never heard that testimony before. We heard that Suge Knight was driving the BMW with the rims, and we heard that Suge Knight was driving a candy apple red Rolls Royce. But the cream-colored Cadillac is new.
Were in there.
The last one was Suge Knight's. It was a cream-colored Cadillac.
Okay.
Huh.
And I'm sorry, I just want to make sure.
That's new.
The last one that you had was a cream-colored Cadillac.
Yes.
And why do you remember that vehicle?
Just pointed out to me at the time. It was occupied by two black males.
Okay.
Who
And,
pointed it out to you at the
I
time?
didn't know Suge Knight at the time. I was kind
Still
of,
don't.
interested in, looking for Tyson at the time, and they just pointed that vehicle out to me.
I was interested in looking for Tyson at the time. I wonder if Tyson has a house in this neighborhood too, and that's why there was security in the neighborhood if that's where Tyson lives or has a house. It was pointed out to me at the time. By who? And was the vehicle pointed out, or was it, oh, hey, that's Suge Knight? And where's Tupac in all of this? I can understand why this witness was really interested in seeing if Mike Tyson was going to drive by the gate that night. Like, I get that. But who's pointing out Suge and not also pointing out Tupac?
Is Suge Knight's.
Yeah. And fair to say, though, that sometime in the future, you were asked to obviously write a report on that particular issue.
Yes.
That was your officer's report.
Yes.
And in that officer's report, did you include the mention of a cream-colored Cadillac with two black male adults in it?
I did.
Okay. Now, after your view of the Cadillacs going into the residence, how long after that did the shooting of Tupac Shakur occur?
Probably half an hour later that they came out, and it was probably 10 minutes later Mike Tyson actually entered. It's probably another 10 minutes after he came out again, and it was probably 10 minutes after that the shooting took place.
Okay, and just for the jury's edification, when you say Mike Tyson entered, meaning he came into the residence?
He came in, but not with the entourage of the first 15. The first 15 vehicles went into the gate. They all came out again. Mike Tyson went in the gate.
Mike Tyson
He came out
again.
and then we left. And at that point,
So why did y'all leave and then where did you go? Wait, why did y'all leave? Huh? So an entourage of 15 cars enters into the gated community. 30 minutes later, the entourage of cars leaves. I'm real curious if it's all 15 cars or not, because how the fuck would you even know? It's just, that seems like a lot of cars. 10 minutes after the entourage leaves, Tyson arrives. 10 minutes after that, Tyson leaves. And then 10 minutes after that, they leave. And then after that, the shooting happens?
maybe it was approximately 10 o'clock, I think the shooting took place.
Okay. Sir, I have no further questions.
Why did you leave? I have so many questions.
Hang on, Mr. Height. They might be cross.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Mr. DiGiacomo, do you have any cross?
Very little. Officer
Cross.
Height,
Yes, sir.
if you could explain to ladies and gentlemen of the jury, when officers at the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department want to work overtime, they can sign up for special events, and then the police department assigns you where to go for that particular event.
Yes.
And usually that works by a business or a lawyer or something setting up with the sheriff or one of the sheriff's employees a special request for, hey, I want officers for this particular event.
We have a special event. We had a special events section of the police department that businesses that would promote events would contact, and they would ask how many. They would ask how many.
It's his. That's his phone going off. You didn't. My guy. It's also interesting to know that Las Vegas Metro PD, at least at the time, had a special events contact. That this happened so frequently, they had individuals handling this on the regular because it was so frequent that officers picked up overtime for whatever it was. Special event, business, residence, probably filming, and other things. That means that this wasn't odd at all. Okay.
Officers they need, and officers would be called, and then we would show up at the assigned locations.
And so on this particular night, it was Metro that assigned you to this location in order to keep the peace for whatever reason.
Yes.
You indicated that you were mainly at the guard gate.
Yes.
And you saw a sequencing of events that occurred at the guard gate.
Yes.
At some point after the homicide, did somebody direct you to write your report?
Yes.
And during the course of that, did you know first of all, who directed you?
I believe it was my lieutenant at the time.
Your lieutenant said, hey, we should document this.
Yes.
And one of the things you documented was not only that you were there, but that the guard gate security detail was called Allied Security, and that they maintained a log of the vehicles that went in and out.
I believe that's correct.
Thank you very much. Nothing further.
Do we want to take a guess as to whether the Allied Security log is in the rebuttal case? What do you want to bet that Allied Security vehicle log is in the rebuttal case? Make a note. I want to see if it's in the rebuttal case or not. Allied Security was manning the gate and kept a log of the vehicles.
Anything further, Mr. Sam?
Yes, Mr. Height, just one final thing. When you're doing this kind of work, it's for additional hours, right?
Yes.
What were you wearing on that particular night?
Uniform,
And is that always the case?
yes.
So even if you're like, say, not at Suge Knight's residence, but say at some other club area in the
Notice the defense isn't yelling at this witness for answering at warp speed. This witness is trying to speed run this testimony right now. What were you wearing? Uniform. He didn't yell at him. Uniform. Okay. That kind of undermines there was a bunch of undercover police officers working overtime, rolling around in street clothes. We were working overtime. We were uniform.
parking lot, you'd still be wearing your
Yes.
uniform? Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
There are different
No question pending.
bureaus that can get assigned different things. I was uniformed, so I was always uniform. There may be detectives or others that would respond differently, but my assignments were I was uniformed, so I was always in uniform.
There's no
Yes,
question
sir.
pending,
Thank you.
but thanks for the
1
help.
second.
Yep.
Sir, the jury
Ladies and
might have
gentlemen of the jury,
questions.
any questions for this witness? We have some.
Oh, we've got jury questions. What do you want to bet? What do you want to bet that the jury questions are about that white Cadillac? What do you want to bet that they want to know more about white Cadillac? Paige in the chat said, did he keep a list of all the cars? No, Allied Security did. All right. Why was this witness here? Because this witness says that he saw a white Cadillac with Suge Knight's entourage, or a cream color Cadillac with Suge Knight's entourage of cars. Remember, the defense was laying the seeds earlier in this case about whether or not Suge Knight was responsible for this shooting, because Suge Knight knew that Tupac was leaving the label and had beef with it. I think the fact that anyone would hire a hit when they were also in the vehicle seems to defy logic, but that's the seeds the defense is planting, because again, the defense doesn't have to prove the receipts beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense has to raise the questions of doubt. I don't know if that undermines their case, but it's real interesting that now there seems to be another cream color Cadillac in play for at least the moment. All right, I'm going to zoom while the jury questions come up.
Holes on either of the. A couple questions from our jurors.
A couple questions from the jurors. Okay.
Did you notice any damage or bullet holes on any of the cars that came through the gates at Suge Knight's residence, especially the white Cadillac?
No.
Any bullet holes on any of the cars? Negative, Ghost Rider. But this was before the shooting, jurors. All these cars were going in and out before the shooting. But okay.
There was no damage on it.
No damage. Were any of the crew members carrying guns?
I didn't see any guns on any of the entourage people, no, because they were all in their cars. We all had guns.
Okay,
Uniform.
Got it. Did you see the cream-colored Cadillac leave?
Yes. They all left.
Interesting.
Okay, when was that?
Close to 10 o'clock, I would say.
Okay,
Maybe 9:30-ish.
got it. Mr. Sant, any further questions?
No, Your Honor.
No.
Okay, thank you. Now you're free to go,
Okay.
Mr. Hyde. Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks.
I'm very curious to see what comes of this additional cream color Cadillac. They also didn't ask if this was a 2-door or a 4-door vehicle. Not a ton of clarifying questions. I imagine that's because the prosecution knows what's in their rebuttal case, and I imagine that the defense wants to just leave it vague. So I guess we will see. That was a rush with that witness, wasn't it? Just
Mr. Sant, your next witness.
Thank you. Your Honor, we'd like to call Charles Mangrum, please, to the stand.
who?
Charles Mangrum?
Counsel, you sure about who your next witness is?
Charles Mangrum, please, to the stand.
Charles Mangrum? Okay.
I'm just going to take a minute to say that that when you are in your case in chief, you want to instill confidence from the jurors. You want the jurors to feel confident in what you are doing. So far, the confidence is lacking a little bit for me. I'm also going to take a minute because, A, I don't want to get too far in the day and absolutely forget, and B, because we desperately need to allow EDB to make the ADHD choices while streaming. That means we desperately need EDB's wonderful stream sponsors. So we're going to take just a quick moment before we get to this next witness, and I'm going to zoom while this witness is walking in. We're going to take just a very quick moment to thank our sponsor, Incogni, because our stream sponsors allow us to just follow where the curiosity takes us. And sometimes that takes us right into playing music when we need to play music. So a huge thank you to Incogni for letting Emily be Emily. Let's go. Leonard, a quick break to thank today's sponsor, Incogni. You know that Incogni's who my family and I trust with our personal data, and every month I share with you different stories about data breaches that affect tens of millions of people's identifying information, from breaches with medical providers and car insurance, and sometimes even your pet store. But one of the things you regularly ask is, but what if we don't know about the breaches? Then what do we do? And Incogni has solved that problem with their new feature, Exposure Scanner. With Exposure Scanner, Incogni will actually go through and find where you're exposed and bring the results back to you. And you also get a risk assessment that tailors a report to you about your privacy progress, and it's refreshed every 30 days. And the Exposure Scanner and risk assessment add to the features that you already know and love from Incogni. Things like the reoccurring removals. There's automatic removals and follow-up removal requests from over 420 harmful sites. They have 24/7 live chat support. Incogni is available on iOS, Android, or you can use it from desktop. Plus, Incogni is now available in the United States, Canada, the European Union, UK, as well as Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, and other countries. So if you already have an Incogni Unlimited plan, go look for this feature now so you can start using it. If you don't have an Incogni Unlimited plan yet, you know we've got a great deal for you on annual plans. So Leonard, remember, they can't harm you if they can't find you. Now's the time to get Incogni. So use code Emily D. Baker at the link below or in the chat to get 60% off annual plans. Just go to incogni.com/Emily D. Baker. Thank you for sponsoring today's stream, Incogni. Now, let's get back to it. All right, again, thank you to Incogni. Let's get back to court and see what witness number 2 brings us today. Because boy, oh boy, am I curious. Boy, oh boy, am I curious. So curious. So curious. I'm curious if the defendant knows what they're going to ask this witness, because I'm still not confident that that's true. I did not zoom all the way. All right.
You do
Next
solemnly
witness.
swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Do.
You may be seated.
I'm also trying to manage court volume. It's rare that court volume is loud, but this court volume is pretty loud.
Spell your first and last name for the record.
Charlie Mangrum, CHARLIEMANGRUM.
Hello,
Thank you, sir.
Charlie.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Stamp, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Mangrum,
Also in
can
blue.
you turn your attention back
I like
30
the tie.
years from now?
Okay.
Okay.
On the night of September 7th, 1996, what were you employed doing?
I was assigned as an overtime officer in charge of 3 other police officers to monitor a party that was supposed to happen at Suge Knight's house located on Tomiyasu.
Oh,
Okay, I'm going to show you here some maps. I just wanted to see if you can help identify where this is located.
then why'd we call the other witness? If he's a supervisor, that clears up a lot. They were hired by Suge to monitor a party at Suge's house, so there wasn't going to be any shit. Suge's in a gated community. He also hired off-duty police to monitor the party at his house. And now we're back to the maps. Maybe this officer knows.
May I approach?
Yeah, you may.
For the record, showing you what's been marked and admitted. That's not good. This would be Defense Exhibit CZ.
Defense.
You don't have that? That one's not admitted yet.
Oh, it has not. Let me just back it up here.
The feed froze for a second, but we still have the audio. It happens sometimes in court with the weather, but
This is Defense Exhibit YY, Defense Exhibit AAA. And
they haven't
Defense
marked all
Exhibit
these.
BBB. Okay, just take a look at this one this time.
Caitlin asked, would this be considered cumulative? Generally, we're not going to see the prosecution argue cumulative when the last witness took 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because it's not a significant waste of time, and they're going to let the defense do what they're doing. But also, it seems like filler, like we're doing busy work, and that's not helpful. Witness, sir, I feel you so much. When this man pulled out the readers to try to look at that horrible map. Yep. Correct. I think we're going to get to the end of this and ask if these witnesses were worth it.
Aerial photographs?
We're not there yet.
Let me just go ahead and say that they've been admitted already by a stipulation between the parties. I'm going to just put this up on the screen for everyone to see.
Okay.
So with regards to the first photograph here, which would be
Look at this photograph.
the first aerial view here, this would be Defense Exhibit YY. You recognize this?
I told him it wasn't admitted.
Yes.
Now, just a general idea though, what is this a image of?
For those of you listening in the background, no need to come back. This is the same terrible overview aerial map that shows the airport, the community where Suge had lived at the time, among other locations on the map that have not been identified for us with this particular map. It is awful.
It's an aerial view of the gated community where Suge Knight lives,
Okay.
of Tamiyasu.
All right, and just because of the fact that we're looking at an overall aerial view, it looks like it's Las Vegas.
Yes.
Can you step down and just point to the jury where on this photograph is the location of Suge Knight's house?
On this,
I mean, I imagine it's down here in the corner.
Thank you, sir.
Let's not specifically, I have no idea if Suge still owns a house in this community. It seems like the airport noise in this gated community would suck, but that's, for me, I lived near LAX for a very long time, and I'm very, very hypersensitive to airport noise after spending so much time living near an airport. Seems like that would suck. Seems like that would really suck. So they're saying that the gated community is down here. Yes, I think that is southeast.
this was a gate. Suge Knight's house was just about next door to the gate.
They're saying Suge's house was close to the gate. He's indicating near the street. So if you're passing down, if this map's oriented north, south, east, west, and those bottom runways are south, then the street would be just a little bit southeast of the runway.
Okay, so just for our edification though, it looks like there is a, would that be an airport that's right there to the left?
Yes, it's Harry Reid Airport.
Okay, and the major cross streets that would be the area which we're talking about here, would that be what, Sunset and Eastern?
Tamiyasu runs to Sunset, and Eastern is to this direction.
Okay. Now
Okay.
I'm going to show you now what's been marked admitted as
Chat has said that Suge still lives in a gated community. Definitely different type of gated community. Different type of gated community. But also, I did not notice on the map if there was a little, if there was any indication of direction at the top.
Defense Exhibit AAA. Is this a closer image of the area that we're talking about?
Yes.
All right, can you point?
This one seems to indicate that north is in fact up the top of the map. Though, given the fact that this says Sunset Park Pickleball Complex, I imagine that this is a more modern map. We have no idea if this map was the same in 1996. I don't know if it matters all that much. We know that Suge had a property in this gated community, so I really don't know how much that matters.
Sure where that area is.
Sunset Park. This would be
I mean, Suge might play
This is
pickleball
Suge Knight's
now.
area here.
on the
That
yard.
should be Tomiyasu.
Okay. And then
Tommy
just
the
one
road.
final image here. I'm showing you what's been admitted to by stipulation, ZZ. Can you describe or tell the jury what we're looking at here?
Mr. Stamp, this
This is
isn't
the-
admitted.
Tomiyasu.
This hasn't been admitted into evidence, the court said. So the house has the exhibit is being published to the jury before admitted into evidence, which is kind of a shit show. However, the prosecution stipulated that these could come in. So is it going to cause a huge amount of fuss? Probably not. When they are talking about the gate, it was my understanding that this was a gated community. However, this may just be a gated residence. So maybe they will clarify if this gate enters into the entire community or if this is just one residence and somebody has their own baseball fields. I mean, maybe Suge's living the if you build it, they will come dream back there in the backyard. I have no idea.
Mr. Stamp,
This
this
is
isn't
the-
admitted.
Tomiyasu.
I'm sorry.
Up to.
Sir, Mr. Mangrum, hold on for a quick second.
I apologize. Mr. Sampson and I stipulated to all of these maps. I think maybe he didn't make the best record about that. So, but all of the maps that he has, we agreed to by stipulation.
Okay,
Sorry.
it's admitted via stipulation. Go ahead.
Thank you. And that's ZZ. Go ahead, sir.
Your Honor, we agreed. He didn't really tell you that, but we did agree.
Yes, this would be Tomiyasu. And
Good
Suge
Lord.
Knight's house would have been just on the north of the main gate that we were working that night.
That was a CompuSolt right
And
there.
that's all we need for you for that purpose. Now,
The defense attorneys, that's all we need from you on that is
in terms of what your job was that night, what were you assigned to do?
Lord.
Apparently, there had been other parties following Mike Tyson fights at Suge's house, and the HOA or association had some issues with the number of people and the number of uninvited guests that showed up, and they wanted to.
Suge's HOA said, nah, fam. Nope. Suge's HOA was like, hey, this is a lot of people uninvited coming through the gates in our gated community. If you are going to have that many people, you're going to need to also bring in security. It seems like Suge complied, though. And also, I'm real glad we understand the reasoning. Why in the world did Suge have private security at this party? Because the HOA. Because the HOA. This makes sense to me. It's not that Suge was worried something was going to pop off. It's not that Suge thought there was going to be violence or was planning on starting something. It's that the HOA was like, excuse me. That's a lot of people. And what we're gonna do is say no, unless you bring in security. Even Suge acquiesced to the HOA. Okay. For those of you that are like, what the fuck is an HOA? Homeowners Association. They are the neighborhood rule keepers. Emily, doesn't that cause problems amongst the neighbors? See, I moved from an area where there were not a lot of HOAs to an area where everything's an HOA. It's a different situation. Yep.
Have some police officers there to help keep the peace.
All right, and can you tell us what you were wearing
That's
on that
hilarious.
particular night?
I was wearing a uniform,
All right.
police uniform.
And when you were there, were you able to notice any of the traffic of vehicles going in and out of the residence area?
Yes.
Can you describe for us any of the vehicles that had either gone in or out of the resident area?
Yes, at approximately about 10:10, 10:15, Suge Knight driving a BMW, blue BMW, with Tupac in the passenger seat, came to the gate, and followed by, I believe, probably 5 or 6 other vehicles.
Not 15.
Which I described in my OR report.
Okay. Now,
I want to see that
just to make sure
report.
I'm clear with the R report, you don't have to do that right now, but
Yeah, I
with
wanna see
regards
that.
to your R report, is that something that you do as a police officer, is write a report?
Yes.
Now, in this case, obviously, you're just helping with potentially a party that takes place. There's no party that takes place, right?
No.
Were you asked by anyone to
LEB in the chat says you can't park there at the HOA, referring to your driveway. There are HOAs that forbid driveway parking. You have to be parked in your garage. Just for our international law nerds or those that live in states where there are not a lot of HOAs. It's true. HOAs will get mad over where you keep your trash cans, over how long your grass is, things like that. No, I'm not joking. There are HOAs that do not allow parking in your driveway. It has to be in your garage. It just depends on the HOA. Yep. We'll dive into this in a members only. We're gonna get through jury today. But we'll talk about it another day.
to write a officer's report after your time working on this particular night?
Yes, I was. I don't recall who that was, so, yeah.
That's fine. And so the officer's report you wrote, fair to say that that's something that you have done throughout your career as a police officer?
Absolutely.
And what's the reason for an officer's report?
Back to reports.
Documentation, so that in the future you have something to go on if need be.
Now, with regards to your recollection for that night, did you, what were the other vehicles that you remember entering into the residence area of Suge Knight and leaving the area of Suge Knight's residence?
Well, Suge and Tupac were there approximately 30 minutes, and they exited back out, followed by a cream-colored Cadillac, compact vehicle that was occupied by 4 females, and a few other vehicles that I had referred to my officer's report on. But later on, following the time that Tupac and Suge left, Mike Tyson showed up as a passenger in a Bentley, followed by another Bentley that
I wonder if Tyson arrived in a lighter color Bentley and the other officer conflated the light color Bentley and the light color Cadillac.
I believe was Don King's son. And
remember that Tyson fight was a Don
informed
King
them
fight.
that Suge Knight had told us that the party was no longer going to happen.
I see.
And then
Can you imagine? Mike Tyson shows up to your house for your party and the gate's like, so Suge told us to let you know that the party's moved. No party tonight. Can you imagine? Sorry, Tyson. Good to see you. But party moved.
they turned around and left.
I see. And then your report was written how long after the event that occurred that you're telling us did you write your report?
It's dated
I'm going to rewind about the cars because there were some questions about the cars. But yeah, 2 Bentleys arrived. And they told Tyson the party had moved.
showed up as a passenger in a Bentley.
Yep. This is about the cars.
Tupac and Suge left. Mike Tyson showed up as a passenger in a Bentley, followed by another Bentley that I believe was Don King's son. And we informed them that Suge Knight had told us that the party was no longer going to happen.
Wow.
And then they turned around and left.
I see. And then your report was written how long after the event that occurred that you're telling us did you write your report?
It's dated the 19th of that month.
All right. Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
So Suge and everybody left. Tyson shows up. They tell Tyson, hey, party's off. And Tyson turns around and leaves. So not 10 minutes later, not went in and then came out, not 15 cars. Which version of this evening between the differences in the witness testimony resonates more with you? The first witness or this witness?
Mr. DiGiacomo, you may cross.
Lieutenant, you wrote this report at the direction of homicide?
I'm not sure. It might have been the PIO's office or someone investigating the case.
On the second page of your report, it shows this was copied to Detective Brent Becker, P number 2838/homicide. So
Okay.
this would have been something that you would have sent to homicide to let them know this information.
Yes.
Now, in looking at
That's a good
your
question.
report,
We're on cross.
you indicate that, would you agree with me that at 21:30 hours, it's you and Officer Quick that are actually at the residence of Mr. Knight talking to somebody
Not
there?
the first witness.
And Mr. Knight's not home.
No.
Then you say at 2200 hours, Officers Schmidt and Height were at the guard gate
Yes.
when the cars came in.
When they started to come in, yes.
And then at 22:15 hours or 20 hours is when you arrive at the gate.
Yes. Approximately.
At 21:20,
And at
22:20.
22:30 hours is where Suge Knight driving a black BMW with Tupac Shakur in the driver's seat, followed by the rest of the caravan, leave the residence.
Yes.
Now,
That's at
what you
22:30.
received today, I believe you have there, is a two-page report, and mine's a lot, has a bunch of attachments to it, so I just want to show you.
No.
So, that appears to be your two-page report.
That's the officer's report.
There you go, look at the front. Is that your officer's report?
Yes.
Okay. And then behind it has basically all the various special assignments going on that night in the valley. You need your glasses to look at that.
Oh, they have a report of every single special assignment happening that night in the valley in Vegas. Which means if there were officers that were specially assigned to Club 662, it would be on that list. Oh, I'm so curious.
I hadn't seen this.
All right.
Okay.
And that's just Metro kept record of all the various special events that evening and who was assigned where in case we need to
Correct.
look into that later.
Correct, yeah.
And then after that, there appears to be the gate log with the plate numbers of all the vehicles that were going in and out of that particular gate.
Okay.
Publish these. So in this report, they have the list of all the special assignments from that night, which means if the allegation that there were a bunch of off-duty Vegas cops assigned to the 662 Club is true, it should be on that list. I mean, unless they were totally off the books, and then I guess it wouldn't be there, but they would have to show that. And then a gate log with the license and information of every single car is in this report. Let's see if this report comes into evidence.
Does that look accurate?
I haven't seen it. I've never seen it.
Oh,
By looking
he
at
might
that,
not be able to enter that in if
does
he's
this
never seen it
suggest
before.
to you that Metro Homicide in 1996 followed this lead and followed up on it?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, as to leading.
It's cross. It's cross. It's cross. You lead during cross.
I haven't seen it. I've never seen it.
Facts not
looking
in
at
evidence
that-
might be correct.
Does this suggest to you that Metro Homicide in 1996 followed this lead and followed up on it.
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, as to leading.
It's cross-examination.
Oh, yeah, you're on cross.
I'm on cross. Sorry, this is weird.
The court says sustained. The prosecution says I'm on cross, and she goes, "Oh yeah."
96 followed this lead and followed up on it.
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, as to leading.
It's cross-examination.
Oh, yeah, you're on cross.
I'm on cross. Sorry, this is weird. Yeah.
Overruled.
Did the defense just say, "I'm sorry, this is weird"? I'm doing that one more time. Everybody needs a Snickers, and we're like 30 minutes into the day.
Metro homicide
This
in
is weird.
1996 followed this lead and followed up on it.
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, as to leading.
It's cross-examination.
Oh, yeah, you're on cross.
I'm on cross. Sorry, this is weird. Yeah.
Overruled.
Thank you. I've done.
Everyone forgot we were in the defense's case in chief for a second. Everyone's like, "Wait, I hallucinated." What? So weird. The point.
and
what,
when that-
what was the point of that cross-examination? Here's the point. After we got past all of the awkwardness, what's the point of that cross-examination? Here's what the point of that cross-examination is. So in and attached to your report is your report, the log of every vehicle that came in and out of the gate that night and their license plate and vehicle description, and a log of every officer that Las Vegas had assigned overtime assignments to that night and all the events that they were assigned overtime assignments to that night. So doesn't this suggest to you that the information about cars being back and forth at Suge's house were sent to homicide and that homicide followed up on that? And he's like, "Yeah, it suggests that to me." Great.
White Cadillac left.
I'm going to back his question up real quick because I didn't hear the beginning of it. So I was talking.
Oh, and when that white Cadillac left that guard gate, it was occupied by two black males as well.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for
Oh, so there was a white
Mr.
Cadillac.
Samp, anything further on your redirect?
Yes, Your Honor, just with regard to the last question that was asked by Mr. Giacomo, sir, he says that it was a white Cadillac. It was either white or cream, as far as you know. Is that correct?
No. Not back to the fight between white or cream colored Cadillac. Please. Could be eggshell.
Yes.
That's what you wrote in your report.
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, anything further, Mr. Giacomo?
No.
On cross.
Yes.
All right, ladies and
Yeah. Ask this witness the difference between white and cream. I guess it's the percentage of yellow, but still, what are we doing?
gentlemen of the jury, any questions for this witness? We may have one.
Juror question? I want the jury to ask if it was a 2-door or a 4-door Cadillac or if anybody remembers. Let's see what the jury asks. I'm going to zoom. Zoom.
Could you say what model of Cadillac?
There we go. More questions about the Cadillac.
Could you say what model of Caddy?
I don't recall that.
Okay. Anything further, Mr. Sam?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. DiGiacomo?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, sir. You are free to go.
Thank you.
I'm real curious if the jury is going to just come to the decision that Keffe D and Suge were friends, and so Keffe D was just following them to the party at Suge's house before all the shit went sideways. Because that's also possible. It is also possible that they are all talking about the same white Cadillac, and that white Cadillac went to Club 662 when Keffe D switched cars. Also possible. Right. Why not? But the defense is leaning into raise a question. And the question will be, could Suge have had someone in his entourage shoot at the car that he was driving? Now, when they get to the jury instructions about reasonable doubt and what is reasonable, I don't know if the jury will think that somebody from Suge's entourage was ordered to take out Tupac, and so it was really Suge in the car. But also, if the jury believes in any way, which I don't know if they would, that Suge wanted to take out Tupac and Keffe D and Suge go way back, could the jury also say, well, okay, so maybe Suge wanted to take out Tupac and asked Keffe D? They go way, way back. I don't know if that's reasonable given all the circumstances surrounding Orlando Anderson and how pissed the defendant still is about Orlando Anderson. But does it take Keffe D out of the car that he's already placed himself in? Does any of this take Keffe D out of the circumstance he's already talked himself into? I don't know. But
the defense would like to call Dan Long to the stand.
Defense is getting to witness number 3. They said they had 3 witnesses. So the defense has raised the possibility that there was a different white Cadillac that shot at Tupac's car, I suppose. I don't know if that's going to undermine it. And then the prosecution said, yeah, but Vegas Metro followed up on this. Okay, well, we haven't heard a ton from Vegas Metro about why it took them till 2023 to prosecute this case, because we haven't heard about those decisions from Vegas Metro.
I do.
You may be seated.
All right.
May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Sir, you are dressed like the fediest fed to ever fed. Hello, witness number 3. Are you... I have questions.
Dan Long, D-A-N-L-O-N-G.
Thank you, sir. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Stamps.
Thank you, Honor. Mr. Long, taking your attention back 30 years to September of 1996. How were you employed?
Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department.
And at the time, what was your assignment?
I was a detective in gang crimes.
All right. Do you recall the night of September 7th, 1996?
I do.
What were you doing at that particular time?
I was on a gang enforcement team, and we had stopped a bunch of juvenile males about a block, more than a block, to the east and to the south. We had been requested to patrol that area because there had been some incidents, and they wanted to know if these were gang members. We had stopped them. We were talking to them. They were not gang members. And then we heard a volley of gunshots.
Okay, and when you say...
We did a stop and talk with the youths and then heard a fuck ton of gunfire. I imagine they looked at the youths and went, y'all go that way. Y'all go... We're going to go that way. Y'all go that way. Y'all go that way. Stay wherever you're staying tonight. Get there, stay there. Bye. Get there, stay there. Wherever you're going, close the door.
To the east and south, where exactly to the east and south are we talking about?
I'm sorry. Koval and Flamingo, we are one block to the east, and we were on a side street to the south. That area doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
The two youths.
Showing you a map here, an aerial photograph. This is defense exhibit YY.
Oh,
You recognize
fucking
this map or this area?
Back to the map. Back to the terrible map. Back to the terrible map.
Photograph.
Yes.
Okay, and what is this of?
It's Flamingo and Flamingo and Koval is where the shooting occurs. The airport's right to the south. Carriage House is just to the south of where the shooting occurs. And we were, if you zoom in, I could show you where we were.
Here's what we'll do. If you could just step out of your...
Zoom in.
Chair, just get out next to the screen. I'm gonna.
The carriage house
this a
is
little
where
closer for
the
everyone to see.
vehicle and the gun were
Figure out where you're
purportedly
at.
left by KPD.
Does this help?
Does this help? The detective laughed.
There's an area.
They are now on the big screen in the courtroom. And so the witness is standing and pointing at locations on the big screen in the courtroom. We see where the shooting happened, where the carriage house is down the road. And then he's pointing at a light colored blob on the map.
Here that's been bulldozed. You can see where the streets and the alleys had been right here. There used to be an apartment complex right there. There was one alley, 2 streets, and the area command that had that area wanted us to check to see if these were gang members. We went in, we stopped some juvenile males. They were not gang members, they were just juvenile males. While we were standing there talking to these males, we heard about the gunshots. We didn't want to talk to these males anymore, so we jumped in our vehicles and we moved
Go home, stay there, bye.
to the shooting scene.
Okay. And what you're pointing at for the jury, just for the record,
Juvenile.
is the intersection of
The witness is saying juvenile males. Mm-hmm.
Cobalt and Flamingo?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Now, fair to say, of course, you're there conducting your business as a member of the gang unit.
Yeah.
That's correct.
You weren't there for overflow or anything to do with special events
No.
for the two.
Somebody saw a group of teenagers and said, hey, we've been having problems in this area with teenagers. Will you come out? We think they're gang members. Will you come talk to teenagers? And they went out and talked to them and went, no, they're just, those are just teenagers. So, those are just teenagers. And then they heard gunfire. Right.
For the fight?
No.
Okay. Now, for some of us who weren't around during this time period, can you describe for us a little bit about the activity that was going on at the time in terms of the streets and people walking around when you heard the shots being fired?
It was packed. It was extremely, there was people everywhere, people walking, traffic was fully backed up. We had to get into the intersection, we had to use, we were in non-marked cars, so we were in plain cars. We moved into the intersection using red lights and sirens. We moved across,
They had
people
to
were
wee-woo.
waving at us and pointing. There was a vehicle there that became of interest to us. Some girls had been shot at. While we had gotten out to talk to them and find out what was going on, we had no idea this was attached to anything.
Wait, did you talk to the Sebring? Did you talk to the Sebring first? Huh.
One of the guys on my team, Dino Kelly, found some cartridge cases in the street. So we started moving our vehicles in the area to block off traffic so they wouldn't get run over and putting up yellow tape.
Now, once again, were you in charge of the investigation of either the shooting or the eventual homicide?
No.
All right. So at the time in 2000 or 19.
Wait, can we go back and talk about the vehicle with the girls that got shot? Can we talk about that? Because I got some follow-up questions about that.
96, you were anything other than your gang unit detective.
Right. And at that time, we had found a shooting scene. We don't know what we have. So we're just securing the scene in case there are victims. And then we would find out what was going on.
At some point in the future, though, as you progress in your career, did you ever at any point leave the gang unit?
Yes.
And what did you do after that?
In 2000, I was invited to test to go into homicide. I then tested for homicide and went into homicide.
And what year was that?
Did your test ask about proper evidence collection techniques using a red Solo cup? Or no? Because I imagine that's probably not on your test to enter homicide. Just a question.
2000.
Now, during the time that you were in homicide, that would have been from 2000 to roughly when?
I retired from the department in 2017.
So
hey,
you
I
spent
retired in
17 years in
2017
homicide.
too.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, during the time period that you
Cheers.
were in homicide, were you ever assigned the case involving the Tupac murder?
Yes.
Okay. And you had to stay a little bit. I just want to make sure. You were given the assignment at some point.
Yes, I was. 2004, my sergeant, Kevin Manning, handed me the file and said I would follow up any further leads.
All right. And can you explain to us a little bit about how that works? You're a detective. The file had been with somebody else prior, Detective Becker.
Yeah, Detective Becker and Detective Mike Franks.
Okay. And now you have the file.
Yes.
So what do you do as a detective when you're handed a file that's already been worked on?
You read it. You read it. I went through the pictures. I then discussed it with my sergeant. I went down to California. There was a lot in that file, and I didn't know Compton very well. I didn't know Compton at all.
I would imagine so.
So I went down. I had ridden in the gang unit with gang detectives, and I knew them still. So I called and said, "Can you take me around and show me these things?" So we drove around Compton. They showed me houses where the Compton Crips lived. They showed me where Orlando Anderson died. They showed me a lot of different things. And Compton was very small, but it was very impacted with gangs.
Now, during this time period, can you describe for us a little bit about?
So he got the whole file and said, field trip. I can't understand how all this plays together. I need to go see it. So took in this file, said, if I'm going to make any connections in this file, I need to understand this. And so went and went around and tried to piece things together that were on the map from decades ago. Okay. Wasn't he in one of the interviews with Keffe D? I wonder if we're going to get there.
But was there still an interest in the murder of Tupac at the time that you took over the case? Meaning, was there media attention? Maybe not to the level it was in the beginning, but was there still issues with regards to access to the file and that kind of thing?
Yes, there was. Now I know where you're going.
Yeah, and what I mean by that initially is that even in Metro, was there any concerns on your part about unauthorized access to the file?
Not by me. I wasn't concerned, but my lieutenant had become concerned and wanted to sequester the file away from everybody else because there was a lot of people going in and looking. Very, very famous person.
And with regards to the going in and looking, can you describe to the jury what type of activity we're talking about here in terms of going in and looking?
Counsel, can you wander your way back to the microphone?
I didn't do any investigation in this, but my lieutenant told me that people had been going in and being curious, looking at the file.
Did you at any point, was there any...
Did that get worse after Greg Kading's book came out in 2011? Yeah, I bet you had some looky-loos. Did that get worse after 2011?
measures that was taken to preserve the safety and security of that file?
Yes.
What were those measures?
They locked down the file itself, which was the hard copy of the file.
I bet they locked the computer access to it.
We used to, at that time, we were on a computer drive called the F drive, which turned out to be too small, and they later moved it to another drive because homicide just kept growing. So they changed the way I did my reports. I would hand them in, and they were secured.
You locked down the drive access.
Now, we talk a little bit about reports. What reports are we talking about here?
The one that popped into my mind, the very first one, there was supposedly, this was an anonymous tip that there was a rolling 60 apartment over on Reno that was slinging drugs, and that the people that shot Tupac had driven up to this apartment and handed the gun off for drugs. I then attempted to locate, usually gangs are going to rent an apartment, they're going to rent it in a girl's name. So I was looking, and I'm talking 8 years after the fact, I'm talking about trying to find an apartment.
It's always in a girlfriend's name, a sister's name, a cousin's name, a mother's name, all the time. Notice when they talked earlier in this case about the rental cars, and one of the rental cars was in a mother-in-law's name, and one of the rental cars was in somebody else's name. Right.
Rented by a girl that has association with the Rolling 60s.
Right.
I never found it. So I couldn't track down the 60s that may have the gun that would be attached to the killing of Tupac.
I see. And during the time that you were performing your duties as the
hotels too.
detective,
The hotels as well. Also, I really don't think, given everything we know about Keffe D, they were handing off that gun for anything. That gun got handed off to nature, or it got smited. Like it just, nope. That gun was not getting handed off to anybody else that could connect them back.
on this particular file, did you ever keep your own officer's reports?
Yes.
And just explain for us a little bit about your, common course of how you would do that.
An officer's report is like who, what, when, where, why. So you say that there was an anonymous tip. Let's just talk about this tip. Anonymous tip at this date. I did these phone calls, met with this apartment complex, and couldn't locate anybody that was attached to the Rolling 60s in any fashion. So it literally would be an officer's report that's maybe a paragraph. There was another tip that the gun had been dropped from the shooting vehicle that went back to California that night, and it was on the side of the road. Ridiculous. But 8 years later, we went out and we walked that section of the freeway, both sides, looking for a gun. We didn't find one. That officer's report was about a sentence. And those kind of things, those kind of things are the things that we were trying to run down.
All right. And so in terms of officer reports, fair to say that there would be a lot of officer reports of your efforts in this particular investigation?
Those officers' reports don't exist anymore that I could find.
Okay. And why is that?
Why is that?
From what I was told was when we moved from the F drive to the H drive, those reports had to be scanned, and at some process they were lost. So
what we're relying on, clearly, it would be your recollection of what you remember from that time period.
Correct.
Okay. And once again,
I don't doubt that that's what's happened, because isn't that what we got from Compton PD too? I don't know what happened when Compton PD turned over to LA Sheriff's Department. I don't know where the evidence went, but we moved over from this drive to that drive and stuff got lost. Stuff didn't get scanned. Stuff didn't get whatever. Apparently there's not a backup. Seriously.
if you don't remember, you don't remember.
Okay.
Okay. Now, at some point, though, you have an opportunity to interact with law enforcement officers in Compton. Or is it, no, I'm sorry, at that particular point, it would have been the Sheriff's Department, LA Sheriff's.
Yes, I usually went directly to LAPD, but yes, the Sheriff's Office also.
LAPD. Can you tell us a little bit about any interaction you might have had with them, specifically about a firearm?
You're talking about the 06?
Yes.
Yeah. I received a phone call from the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department saying that there was a gun recovered by Compton PD in 1998. The yard of 1301.
Oh, that's the gun from C. Ray's house from those raids. We talked about this yesterday when we were looking through the defendant's book just a little bit. because C. Ray went on TV, according to the defendant, and talked about how and where the gun was found from his house. The reason that LA sheriffs would have that is because sheriffs took over from Compton PD. So LA sheriffs call this detective and talk about a gun that was recovered in a 1998 raid of C. Ray's house. Okay. Interesting.
Saying that there was a gun recovered by Compton PD in 1998. The yard of 1301 Sloan, which is inside the Compton area. The Compton Crips area, I should say. And they believe that this gun was supposedly buried in the backyard, and it was turned over to the Compton Police Department. The Compton Police Department dissolved, and so the Sheriff's Department was starting to run all these guns through ATF.
LA sheriffs took over for Compton PD in 2000. So in 2006, they are now starting to run these through ATF.
And ballistics, and they believe this may be the gun that we were looking for. They were fairly adamant that this was the gun that we were looking for, that was the murder weapon of Tupac. I then made a drive to LA with my sergeant. We picked up the gun. They had it in a evidence box. I signed a receipt to them that they kept. I then drove the gun back to Las Vegas, drove it directly to our ballistics lab, and I turned the gun over to Jim Krylo. I then filled out a request to have that ballistics tested against the gun that was used to kill Tupac.
Against the casings?
Before I managed to drive back to the office, I received a phone call and they told me it was not the gun. I told him that he wanted me to come back and pound it and put it into our evidence vault. I told him I'd come back in the morning and I would pick up the gun and I would take it back to LA because it
Not
may
our
be
gun.
of interest to LA
To them, right.
in another crime.
Okay. And outside of that particular incident, were there any other instances where you found what potentially could be the gun in this situation and had it tested?
Myself, no, but there were thousands of guns that were tested.
I wonder if the reason, and this is just my speculation, I wonder if the reason that sheriffs were like, this might be connected was because of the connection to C. Ray. I don't think C. Ray is going to bury a gun that was used in that shooting in his backyard. That doesn't make any sense at all. But C. Ray is not just really close with defendant, but also related. I think they're cousins, but there's also familial relation there. So, for those of you asking about driving back and forth, we've heard a lot of varying times on the drive back and forth to Vegas. It depends on time of day, but 4 hours is about reasonable if traffic's not too crazy. When other witnesses in this case say they made it between Vegas and Compton in about 2.5 hours, they were probably going about 115 plus to make that happen. But 3.5 hours if you're going really fast and there's no highway patrol. 4 hours if there's traffic, it could be 7. But yeah, about 4 hours of a flight or 4 hours of a drive, 40-ish minute flight. It's not a horrendous drive.
And as far as you know, as the responsible detective at that time, were any of those thousands of guns come back with a hit or match to the spent cartridge casings that we found in the scene?
No.
Now, in addition to that, at some point in the future, you travel to California again to conduct an interview.
Yes, sir.
That would have been in 2009.
Correct.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about who was there in that interview?
The defendant.
Sure. Myself and my lieutenant, Lou Roberts, made a drive after I received a phone call saying that there's somebody that wanted to give information about Tupac.
somebody who wanted to give information about Tupac. That's the information that they got. Someone who wanted to give information about Tupac. I imagine that the defendant doesn't quite see it that way. But I digress.
Myself and my lieutenant, Lou Roberts, made a drive after I received a phone call saying that there's somebody that wanted to give information about Tupac and Tupac's murder.
Go to the defendant's case. Go to the defendant's face.
We
Go to the
then drove
defendant's face.
down on the morning of September 9th. They wanted us to meet them at the HIDA office, which is at 1340 West 6th Street in LA, which is about 6 blocks from Plaza One. We met them there. I would then met Detective Darren Dupree, and he told me that Duane Davis, also known as Keffe, was in the interview room. He had his attorney present, whose name was Wayne Higgins. And we were going to go in, and he was going to give me information. And he further explained that Keffe had got caught with a large amount of narcotics and was...
Let's just clarify. Defendant got caught with a large amount of narcotics because it seems like C-Ray did an undercover buy at defendant's houses. Because C-Ray had gotten caught up prior to Keffe getting caught up on this. This is after he gets out of federal prison. Right.
trying to work off those charges.
Now, sir, and just to cut you off at that part, I apologize. But with regards to that information, at some point you conduct an interview in that room.
Yes, sir.
With Mr. Davis?
With Mr. Davis, with his attorney. My lieutenant didn't want to go in, so Darren Dupree agreed to go with me.
All right. And there was a recording. Did you record the meeting?
Better that Dupree went with him, don't you think? Better that Dupree went with him. Oh, Keffe D does not look happy at all.
Davis, with his attorney, my lieutenant didn't want to go in, so Darren Dupree agreed to go with me.
All right. And there was a recording. Did you record the meeting?
I did.
Okay. And is that just standard operating procedure for what you do as a detective?
Yes, I was told that they were going to record it also, but I wanted to record it myself.
Right.
That way I have it in my hands.
Okay.
Right.
And during the course of that meeting, you learned information, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about the interaction here? Were you ever asked to leave the room?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us why you were asked to leave the room?
Mr. Davis.
That does call for speculation, chat. Very good issue spotting. However, the prosecution is not going to come in and object to some of these because why would they? So, yes, it calls for speculation.
Became very nervous. I was asking questions that he didn't feel comfortable with.
I'm going to rewind. I stepped on the middle of the answer. But did there come to a time where you were asked to leave the room? Yes. And man, wasn't that conversation interesting when Keffe D left the room.
Tell us why you were asked to leave the room.
Mr. Davis became very nervous. I was asking questions that he didn't feel comfortable with, which is to be expected. And he asked me to leave the room. He wanted to talk to his attorney and he wanted to talk to Detective Dupree. I then stepped out of the room for not very long, and then they asked me to come back in.
Was there ever a time that you left the room and was accompanied by Mr. Dupree and only had Mr. Higgins and Mr. Davis in the room by themselves?
I don't recall that.
Okay. So every time you left, Mr. Dupree was in the room with Mr. Higgins and Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir.
That's what we heard on the recording.
Now, at some point, you were...
I'm really surprised the defense didn't ask, where was your recording device when you stepped out of the room? Like, was it a cassette recorder that was just sitting at the table? Where was your recording device when you left the room? Was it open and obvious? I'm curious if he's going to ask. He might not. Maybe we'll get it on cross. Maybe we'll hear it from the defense or from the jury, but The conversation that happened when he stepped out of the room is still one of the wildest things here. Wild.
We're able to learn some information.
From Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
When you came back, did you corroborate any of the information?
I tried.
Okay, what did you do? What efforts did you make?
During the interview, Mr. Davis indicated first that Orlando Anderson, or Baby Lane, had been beat up at the MGM, which we all had video
Which
on.
they knew.
I think everybody on the planet has seen this video. He was complaining that his arm was either broken or out of socket. He first told me that they had gone back to California and had gone to the hospital in California. But he said they went to the hospital on Maryland Parkway, and the hospital on Maryland Parkway is Sunrise, and that he had gotten a sling for his arm. So I filled out a subpoena, and I wanted to know if Orlando had signed in, was examined in any fashion. And now we're talking
20 plus years later.
This is 2009. We're talking about somebody coming into the emergency room in 1996. So I didn't find anything. They couldn't apply. They couldn't give me anything with Orlando's name on it. We were looking into, there was a rented Cadillac, rented in Compton by a friend of the gang. Her name was, or her daughter's name, there was a woman by the name of Harris, and first name could have been Teresa, could have been Tessa, and again, we're talking multiple years later. But I called down trying to locate a Cadillac that was rented in 1996. They said it was a friend of the gang, so it's very possible that there was no paperwork on it. But we're going to try.
Right.
I called multiple rent-a-car places because he couldn't remember which rent-a-car place it was. I never found anything connected to that date or those dates around that for a four-door white Cadillac of any kind.
Okay.
Now, in addition to that, sir, did you ever run at some point any names to determine, sort of help you out with the landscape of who's who and what's what? For instance, did you ever run a name by the name of Darnell Grimm?
Oh, you're talking about before the interview?
Yes.
When I received the call that we were going to go down and do an interview, I ran everybody that was in the file. And the purpose of that being is if I'm in the middle of an interview and he mentions somebody, I might have information, this person's in jail, this person's dead, this person's in prison. Those could be very useful to me in the middle of an interview. When I go into the interview, I'm going to be acting very non-informed.
Uninformed.
I don't know anything. Please tell me. So
you didn't see anything here. Who's that? What do you mean? You know more than I do. Please inform me. Please tell me. Right. Intentionally uninformed. While being quite informed. Right. Mm-hmm. Of course.
he's like, okay, we were going after, we're talking about Pac. Okay, who's Pac? Well, Tupac Shakur. Okay, so I'm going to do that through the entire interview. But if I have more names and more information, I at least know what he's talking about, so I can direct him in the right direction to give me a full name or a full description, whatever it may be. So I ran quite a few people before I went down there.
I bet.
Okay. So at some point you leave that interview and you come back to Las Vegas.
Yes, sir.
Were you ever aware that in 2008, Mr. Davis gave a proffer to the FBI, DEA, Compton PD, LAPD?
While I was there?
Yes.
No. I was told that he had been, Duane Davis was arrested on a major drug case, and he was facing the rest of his life in prison. And he was trying to work that case off. So when I was sitting out there and I learned that he's sitting there with his attorney, I'm like, he's not going to tell me anything. And they're like, well, he's trying to work this off, and it's about Tupac. And I'm like, all right, let's try this. So we went in. But we finished, we met.
Yeah, but he didn't have a deal
We made
on it.
a drive over to Plaza One, then we left. I received some phone calls at that point and received more information when we got back to Vegas that there could be possibly a proffer, which made no sense to me.
Now, just one final
Right.
question for you, and it's unrelated to anything that we've asked of.
Great, let's totally switch topics. So he's like, I learned after I got back that there might have been a proffer, and he was like, bro, what? Right, because the federal proffer is kind of out of left field, and he, I'm sure, knew that Keffe D had gone to federal custody. But it seems like he didn't know that Keffe D had given an interview then, which is consistent with what we've heard all the way along with this.
Sure. The question is this: are you aware of a program here in town called Barry's Boxing?
I've heard of it.
What? We're now switching topics to Barry's boxing, apparently not to be confused with Barry's boot camp.
Sure. The question is this: are you aware of a program here in town called Barry's Boxing?
I've heard of it.
Okay. I have no further questions, John.
The fuck?
Cross, Mr. DeJoffrey.
Chat, yeah, Keffe D started Barry's boxing and Barry's boot camp. How is that the last question? Your last question of your direct examination is, have you heard of Barry's boxing? Yes. Okay. Okay. Generally, you want to leave your direct examination on a point that the jury is going to take away and be like, interesting. Like maybe the fact that they were never able to tie a rental Cadillac back to this defendant. That seems like a point that you might want to leave the jury with. But no, we left the jury with, have you ever heard of Barry's boxing? Yes. It's like asking, do you prefer chocolate milk or strawberry? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this question?
Question is this: are you aware of a program here in town called Barry's Boxing?
I've heard of it.
Okay. I have no further questions, John.
Cross, Mr. DeJoffrey.
Mongo is appalled. Mongo is appalled by this direct examination. If I'm going to be generous to defense, what points were made from this direct examination? What did we learn that we didn't already know for sure? We learned more about where the file went, or the fact that the file got lost or eaten by IT. We learned about what happened in 2006 with the gun, but in the defense's opening statement, they said that LAPD, this was LA sheriffs, that LAPD had sent a fake gun, like a test gun, because they didn't trust Vegas and Vegas didn't trust them. And so there was a staged gun that was sent to Vegas to test and see what Vegas would do. And that didn't come across like that at all. It comes across like, oh, hey, so we took over all this evidence from Compton PD like 6 years ago, and we're just like going through the boxes now. And we found this gun that maybe is connected. He didn't even ask what caliber the gun was. Was it like a 40? I would imagine it was. Didn't ask what caliber the gun was. Hey, this gun came up in a raid after Biggie was shot. Y'all might be interested in it. And he went and picked up the gun. They brought the gun back. They test fired the gun. They went, nope, that's not the same gun. And then they returned the gun back to the sheriff's department. Way less dramatic than we heard in opening statements. What else did we learn? We learned that he searched for any records or documentation regarding a rental of a white Cadillac during this period of time. But did he also search for a cream-colored Cadillac? I don't know. Now, should all of that been done in 1996? Probably. Does it seem that anyone did it? Nope. Why? Well, it doesn't seem like Vegas reached out to California to see if there were rental cars out of California. And it doesn't seem that, well, California wasn't investigating the killing of Tupac because it's out of their jurisdiction. And then the Biggie Smalls task force doesn't even start until 2019, 2018, if I'm remembering correctly. So, yeah, a lot of time had passed. No, that wasn't 2019, 2018. That was 2008. Sorry, 2008, 2009. My brain just jumped in increments of 10. So, Christine said, so this case is 20 years old. This case is 30 years old. The shooting happened in 1996. The task force happened in 08, 09. The docuseries happened in 17, 18. The groupings of 10. Right. Okay. I mean, it feels to me like it's only been 10 years since 1996, but in fact, let's see what cross-examination brings. So I think those are the things we learned from this. Does the defense have some stuff in there that they can argue in closing? Sure, but it seems that leads were followed up on just way too late, and the people we could ask about why they followed up on them way too late are gone. Okay. Cross.
Detective, how are you?
Good. How are you, Mark? I'm Mr. Giacomo.
I guess they know each other. Hey, Mark, good to see you. Been a minute. So y'all know each other then.
Cross, Mr. DeJock.
Detective, how are you?
Good. How are you, Mark? I'm Mr. Giacomo.
You went to homicide in 2000, correct?
That's correct.
And Mike Franks and Brent Becker, well, I guess Mike probably retired before Brent left the unit, correct?
Well, he trained me for a while. Mike was preparing to retire, so the desk I was going to get was his. And I was trying to soak up as much as I could from him because he was a very, very senior detective. Him and Brent Becker were very, very good detectives, so I was trying to suck up as much as I could. That was his.
Learn. Absorb. Anything other than suck up. Anything other than learn or absorb. Can we sponge? Just sponge doing sponge things. Sponge doing sponge things.
As much as I could from him because he was a very, very senior detective. Him and Brent Becker were very, very good detectives, so I was trying to suck up as much as I could. That was the squad I was going to anyway.
And when Sergeant Manning hands you the Tupac file, you already had an understanding from Mike Franks and Brent Becker of who you thought was in the car.
Yes, sir.
And when Mr. Davis in 2009 tells you that, it's the same people.
Yes, sir.
So when you got the file, you already had an understanding of who was in the car, and Keffe D just told you the same thing that you already knew?
Was in the car.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to just rewind that one more time. Great.
The Tupac file, you already had an understanding from Mike Franks and Brent Becker of who you thought was in the car.
Yes, sir.
And when Mr. Davis in 2009 tells you that, it's the same people.
Yes, sir.
I think Mr. Samft maybe missed one of your trips to Compton
More shade.
prior to, I guess, November of 2004 when he died. In early 2004, did you try and make contact with Big Dre Smith?
Yes.
And describe that for us.
I was with actually a gang squad, and this is during the time when you can read it all. You can read all this information, but it's better if you go down there and look at it. So I went down to look at it. And they were taking me on a tour, most of Compton. They took me to the car wash where Orlando died, that kind of thing. While we were driving by the Emerson Elementary School, which is right in the center of the Compton Crip turf. Some of the guys I was riding in the back seat and taking notes. They said, "There goes Big Dre, DeAndre Smith," which is somebody that's obviously in Brent Becker's files, and he was walking through the field, the grass field. So I was like, "Well, stop. Let me talk to him. You got to try. I have no probable cause."
Hey, Dre, can we have a chit chat about 2000? Can we have a chit chat about what happened back in 1996? What up, man? Oh boy, no probable cause. I just wanted to have a chat. You never know what somebody might say.
Walking through the field, the grass field. So I was like, "Well, stop. Let me talk to him. You got to try. I have no probable cause. I have no legal right to make a stop. I'm not even in my jurisdiction, but I can try."
You can ask to
So
talk
I stepped
to him.
out of the car and I said, "Mr. Smith, I'm Detective Long from Las Vegas," and he said, "F you and F off." He's not censoring what he said, and he just.
Anyone shocked? Hey, I'm Detective Long from Las Vegas. Hey, man, fuck you. What's your name? Tony. Hey, Tony. Fuck you. What's your name? Ezekiel. Fuck you, Ezekiel. Yeah. Yeah. I had to try. Hey, Dre. Detective Long from Las Vegas PD. Can we talk? Fuck you. Good chat, man. Good chat.
Lumbers across the field. So I had no reason to stop him. So I just waved.
Now,
He was disinclined to acquiesce to my request to have a chat, especially out on the street where everybody can see him. And no, what he's not going to do is be seen talking to you in broad daylight. Correct.
in 2000,
Also, dude looks like a cop. I don't care what this dude's dressed in. Dude's going to look like a cop. Dude's also a real big, really white dude. Yeah, anybody who drives by is like, so Big Dre's talking to the popo. Right. Correct. Correct.
Censoring what he said, and he just lumbers across the field. So I had no reason to stop him. So I just waved.
Now, in 2009, you wind up in a room with Mr. Davis, and your belief is he's trying to work off charges.
Yes,
What does that mean?
He's looking at the rest of his life in prison for what they had caught him with. So if he gives substantial information about cases, and that's what they had brought him in for, was to give information about cases. One of the cases was the Wallace case, Notorious B.I.G. During this part of it, he started telling them about Tupac, and this is in 2008, I believe. So that's what I was told.
But essentially, and I want to talk about specifically, what is just working off your charges?
Just let him
Does
get
Metro
there.
have certain rules, let me ask you, about working off charges and how you work off charges?
Yes, in a non-victim crime, you can work off charges. If you can't work off a murder, you can't work off a sexual assault, those are victim crimes. If you have a victim, you can't work off those charges. But if you have something else, that like a lot of drugs, you could work off maybe the amount of years you're going to do by giving substantial.
Would you like to form an alliance? Great. give us some information we can use, and maybe we can make a deal. Do you have information that we can use so that you get less time and somebody else gets more time? Correct. Let us work on that. Right. Which is how like a substantial percentage of the federal cases go down. Somebody comes in on something and is like, I would love to tell you everything I know about everyone else involved. Please don't send me to prison.
Potential case information on other cases. So that's what I believe that Mr. Davis and his attorney were trying to do, was to knock off a certain amount of time off of what he was going to spend in prison.
And it worked.
And you know, or at least you believe, you'd agree with me, that Mr. Davis was a suspect in your homicide, not a witness.
Yes, sir.
And by the end of that interview, what is your intent?
My intent was to drive back to Las Vegas, type up a warrant for an arrest, clear it with the district attorney, and have Mr. Davis arrested for murder.
Instant replay. What was your intent after that interview? The interview that this detective started with, we're not here to arrest you today. Also, Davis can't trade information on his LA case to get out of a prosecution on a Vegas case. They are not the same jurisdiction. So when this detective sat down with Keffe D and said, I'm not here to arrest you today, facts. But at the end of that interview, he went back to Vegas and was like, today is the day. Clicky, clicky, clack, clack. Let's get you arrested. All right, everybody, come on back. Maybe we're going to find out what the fuck happened after that. This is 2009. This detective was like, I was going to arrest him for murder. This is a great cross-examination. This is going spectacularly.
Believe, you'd agree with me, that Mr. Davis was a suspect in your homicide, not a witness.
Yes, sir.
And by the end of that interview, what is your intent?
My intent was to drive back to Las Vegas, type up a warrant for an arrest, clear it with the district attorney, and have Mr. Davis arrested for murder.
And?
Now, at that point, did you...
If you don't ask, and then what happened, counsel? I am going to lose my fucking mind. And then what happened? What happened between 2009 and 2023? What did the district attorney's office say? Because the district attorney's office, if they're not ready to bring charges, will say, please don't arrest him yet, because then we'll have to let him go. We're not ready for this case.
And...
Oh my God, sorry, chat. All right, I'm going to start.
A warrant for an arrest, clear it with the district attorney, and have Mr. Davis arrested for murder.
Damn, that's a good answer.
Now, at that point, did you and members of my team have an opportunity to actually listen to the recording?
Yes, sir.
And we heard the section where you're not in the room, correct?
That's correct.
And then, so did we give you some direction?
Yes.
Oh my God, all the tea.
So this is several weeks after I'd come back. I met with... This is several weeks after I had come back from California with the recording. So we brought the recording and the transcription over. The DA reviewed it, and they invited me over, and they told me that they were not going to go forward with prosecution at that time because they're... Had a lot of complications.
Let me ask you this way.
What?
Were you direct?
What the fuck? What the fuck are the complications? What are you not saying? Oh my God. What happened in this case that he's not saying? Oh my God. Oh my God.
And then, so did we give you some direction?
Yes. So this is several weeks after I'd come back. I met with. This is several weeks after I had come back from California with the recording. So we brought the recording and the transcription over. The DA reviewed it, and they invited me over, and they told me that they were not going to go forward with prosecution at that time because they're.
Let me ask,
a lot of complications.
Let me ask it this way. Were you directed to find out the circumstances of why it was that a suspect in our homicide was in a room with his lawyer and a task force officer having that conversation?
Yes, sir.
Oh. They were concerned about Dupree. Which, after seeing Dupree testify, I wouldn't be concerned about Dupree. But okay. We all don't trust each other. We all don't trust each other. We all don't trust each other. Vegas does not trust the LAPD task force. They did not trust Dupree. They did not trust the lawyer. They did not understand the circumstances. However, when I listened to that interview and when I listened to what Dupree was saying consistently, you've already told us this. Just be consistent. Dupree saying be consistent, be consistent, be consistent. And the lawyer's saying give yourself some distance. And Dupree's like, you've already told us this. But after Compton PD being disbanded and all of the Rampart scandal, and then it being a task force, I can understand where Vegas might have wanted more information. Or there was more going on with the feds and that task force than he's willing to say. And the district attorney's office was not sure how much other work Keffe D might be doing with the HIDA task force and whether or not there were bigger fish to fry there, because the feds wouldn't tell them that. They might have also wanted to see what else Keffe D was going to say and have had concerns about if they arrested Keffe D, if that would close all the investigations. I wonder if the district attorney's office ever had conversations with the feds about what they were working on at the time. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on there and a lot of possibilities. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, I want to know all of this. I hope the jury asks so many questions about this.
This is several weeks after I had come back from California with the recording. So we brought the recording and the transcription over. The DA reviewed it, and they invited me over, and they told me that they were not going to go forward with prosecution at that time because they're.
Let me ask,
a lot of complications.
Let me ask it this way. Were you directed to find out the circumstances of why it was that a suspect in our homicide was in a room with his lawyer and a task force officer having that conversation?
Yes, sir.
And at this point, you've been told there might be a proffer somewhere out there in 2008.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And proffers are between lawyers and sovereigns, correct?
That's correct.
So it's either got to be the U.S. Attorney's Office or the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office, but it certainly wasn't the state of Nevada or the Clark County District Attorney's Office.
That's correct.
And did you make efforts to find out from Wayne Higgins what the nature of that agreement was between him and some other sovereign.
Yes, Mr. Higgins as well as others. Yes,
And you would agree with me that Mr. Higgins wouldn't return our calls.
What?
that's correct.
Did you attempt to contact U.S. Attorney Seawright?
Yes,
And you would agree with me, Mr. U.S. Attorney Seawright, at least at that time, would not return our calls.
correct. Would not speak to me.
And by the time
Oh, fuck. What the fuck? So the Vegas, good God. So Vegas is out of the loop on all of this and is getting stonewalled from everyone else. And there is definite weirdness at the end of that interview when Long is saying nobody's made any promises to you. We've not made any deals with you. And Keffe D's hesitant and weird about it. And then Higgins is weird about it. And then Dupree doesn't really say anything about it. And we heard that after the 2008 recording. This detective has no idea about the 2008 recording and hasn't heard it. And there's these allusions to being a proffer somewhere. And I imagine the lawyers are like, if we arrest this dude and there are deals out there we don't know about, all of this shit is going to blow up in our fucking face. The feds don't give a shit about our case. LA has no responsibility to our face. And so then he tries to find out what these deals are and no one will tell them. And the lawyers are like, I'm not gonna touch that giant pile of poop. I'm not touching that poop until you can tell me what this is. Don't touch the poop. I'm not touching it. Oh boy. And so then he's trying to call and find out if there's a proffer out there that's going to turn around and bite them in the ass, because Keffe D at the end of that interview in 2009 is real skittish about whether any promises have been made to you. And so maybe it really just is the book, because the book really undoes all those proffers. Huh. Let's keep listening as we put this together in our brains as we go. Why the fuck would the defense call this witness and let the prosecution cross-examine this witness and clear up some of these questions? Because I think the defense could have objected to relevance if the prosecution called this witness. Imagine that. Imagine the prosecution tries to call this witness to talk about the fact that they made all these calls and nothing happened. The defense could have, I don't know if this defense would have done it, but the defense could have objected to relevance, to hearsay, among other things. Some of this might not have come in a different way. And the defense teed up this witness and the prosecution's like, so you came back, you're ready to arrest him, you bring it to my office. The district attorney's office is like, hey, he seems to have a proffer out there somewhere. Can you go find out about that? And then they go to find out about it and everybody's like, who? Long, Las Vegas, never heard of him. And wouldn't answer the phone. Let's see what else we learn.
well,
I'm gonna back that up. This is an interesting
and
choice.
you would agree with me that Mr. Higgins wouldn't return our calls.
That's correct.
Did you attempt to contact U.S. Attorney Seawright?
Yes,
And you would agree with me, Mr. U.S. Attorney Seawright, at least at that time, would not return our calls.
correct. Would not speak to me.
And by the time, well, let me ask you this. Based upon that situation, did you get directed to reach out to Darren Dupree to see if we could get leverage on the driver, Terrence Brown?
Yes, I did reach out to Detective Dupree, and he, Clarence Brown is a gangster operating in Compton, California. So he's going to be committing crimes. I asked him if he gets arrested
Call us.
for whatever reason to give me a call, and I want to come down and talk to him.
Don't care. That dude's got a broken taillight and 8 ounces of weed in his car. Call me. Call us. We want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that never happens. You never get a phone call saying, hey, we got Bubble Up in custody. Come down here. Let's interview Bubble Up.
Correct. Bubble Up is the street name for Mr. Brown.
Clarence Brown, right.
And so by the time you retire in 2017, we have no statement from Bubble Up.
No.
And we still don't know the circumstances surrounding why those 3 people were in a room talking to you.
No. I believed I did at that time, but
What did you
obviously
think?
I didn't.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Redraft.
Well, that's one of the craziest fucking cross-examinations I think we've seen. Interesting strategic choice for the defense to bring this witness who said, well, I did this wild interview with Keffe D in 2009 and I wanted to arrest him. And the lawyers, being lawyers, had all these lingering questions about, did he get a deal from someone? Did the feds make a deal with him? Are we going to arrest him and get a phone call and be like, hey, so that interview, you can't use that against him? Are we going to have a giant issue? And then it seems that they trusted Dupree enough to call Dupree and say, can you have a conversation with us with Bubble Up if he ever gets arrested again? And then you fast forward to 2017, no phone calls, no answers from the feds because the feds do not loop the state in on anything. No answers from the feds. No answers from the state. Keffe D's never been arrested again. Keffe D didn't go to jail on all the drug cases, which also kind of speaks for itself, that they didn't put him back in jail on all those drug cases. And then he retires. And then I wonder how much it just fried this dude in 2018 and 19 when he started seeing Keffe D put all this information out there publicly. He must have been retired going, you've got to be fucking kidding me. You got to be. Or the flip side of that was keep talking. Keep talking. Oh boy. Thames 308 in the chat said, is Davis an informant? Yeah, Keffe D was working as a CRI trying to go after or offering to go after Zip and Diddy. He was working as a confidential informant. And what you don't want to do as the state is unintentionally fuck up a larger federal investigation. And they knew there was something going on with the feds because that HIDTA task force involved the feds. Oh, shit. So he sat for almost 10 more years wanting to arrest Keffe D and not arresting Keffe D. And then all of a sudden, Keffe D's popping up on the TV, on the YouTube, and in his own fucking book. And now everyone else in the car is gone. Bubble Up is dead. Big Dre's dead. Orlando Anderson's dead. C-Ray's not dead, but they can't find C-Ray. He wasn't in the car. He wasn't in the white Cadillac. Well, what are we going to do with that on redirect? This guy was a great witness. Well, what happened to you, sir? Bureaucracy. The bureaucracy got us. Nobody would tell us shit, and we had no idea what was going on. We're sitting here in the dark and trying not to go arrest someone and then not be able to prosecute them. Can you imagine if they had arrested Keffe D and then all of a sudden it's, you can't use any of these statements he gave. They're all proffers. If all of Keffe D's interviews got ruled as inadmissible evidence and he hadn't written the book, what do you do with this case? Like, seriously, what is this case? If you don't have Keffe D's book, you got to take the book out of it because the book hadn't happened yet. You don't have the book, you arrest Keffe D, and you lose all of those interviews. What is your case? Right. Oh, shit. And then you have to let Keffe D go. Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. All right. So let's continue. Let's see what the defense does with that on redirect. Let's see how that goes.
Can you tell us who from the district attorney's office you were speaking to during that time period?
Mostly it would be Pam Werkerly.
Who was the other United States or the district attorney as well besides Pam Werkerly?
The entire MVU.
Was Mr. DiGiacomo one of those individuals?
Yes, sir.
Now, at the time, who was the elected district attorney?
Mr. DiGiacomo, I have so many questions, sir. Retired DA to DA, sir. I have so many questions. We would sure love to chitty chat with you on the record, off the record. We would sure love to have a chitty chat about the evidentiary concerns. The evidentiary concerns you had about this case before Keffe D wrote his book. Sure have some questions.
Was it
Mr. Wilson?
Was it Steve Wilson?
Yes.
Now, not David Roger?
No, I don't believe he was there anymore.
All right. Now, your testimony here is that you had every intention when you came back to charge the case.
Yeah, clink,
Yes.
clink.
And when you came back, you reached out to the district attorney's office and you said, hey, we think we should charge this case.
Yes.
And they said no.
And they did not immediately give you a response as to what they were going to do.
No, they told.
No, the DA's office said that's a no for me, dog. Let me tell you how much cops hate that. Let me tell you how much cops hate that. When they bring a case and are like, we want to charge this, and the DAs are like, yeah, we want you to go do all this other shit first. It's not always a popular request.
Told me to stand down, and they were.
Your intention when you came back to charge the case.
Yes.
And when you came back, you reached out to the district attorney's office and you said, hey, we think we should charge this case.
Yes.
And they did not immediately give you a response as to what they were going to do.
No, they told me to stand down, and they were going to review it. I got the information to them as quickly as I could. It had to be typed up by one of our secretaries, but I did make sure they got the audio as quick as they could. There was plenty of probable cause to arrest for murder.
Sure.
Wow.
Now, just for the jury's edification, probable cause is not beyond reasonable doubt. Fair?
I'd say that again. I'm sorry.
Probable cause is not beyond reasonable doubt, right?
Calls for legal
No, that's
conclusion.
what we do here.
That's correct. And in terms of the information that you had learned at the time that you met with Mr. Davis, did you verify any of that information?
Let's say it again. I'm sorry.
Did you verify any of the information in that recording in 2009 that Mr. Davis said?
I wasn't able to.
And
That's
once
a good
again,
question.
verification meaning corroboration, right?
That's correct.
In fact, I think on the recording you had told Mr. Davis a couple times, look, even though what you're telling me you might say is the truth, I still need to corroborate this information.
That's correct.
And that would have been your standard operating procedure with anyone telling you anything.
That's correct.
So, for instance, as you're sitting here right now, do you have any...
I'm going to object to leading. It's his witness.
Hey, Mr. DiGiacomo, Mark, if we may, we don't need you can just say objection leading.
your standard operating procedure with anyone telling you anything.
That's correct.
So, for instance, as you're sitting here right now, do you have any...
I'm going to object to leading. It's his witness.
It's leading
I'm
AF.
sorry, I'm so
It's
used
hard,
to it.
I know.
Let me ask it this way.
You better rephrase.
Yes, I'll rephrase. Did you make... was there any information that you ever received about whether or not Mr. Davis was in Las Vegas in September of 1996?
Well, objection leading.
He can say yes or no.
That's a yes or no.
Overall.
It's kind of compound.
Did I?
Yeah.
He started 3 questions before he settled on one, but
No.
And
did you corroborate that Davis was actually in Vegas in 1996, September 1996?
96.
Well, objection leading.
He can say yes or no. Overall.
Did I?
Yeah.
No.
And did you ever have, when you reviewed the file in this case, were there any people calling in saying that they did it? They did the murder?
Sure.
Interesting question.
Can you give us a number?
I mean, that's outside the scope of cross, but it's an interesting question.
Or an amount?
There was a lot. There was quite a few. I mean, I had information that Bill Clinton had him killed.
Huh.
I mean, there was no.
That's new. How many calls did you get of people saying that Tupac was still alive? That would be my follow-up. Yeah, I bet you got a lot of calls. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We did not follow up.
A number or an amount?
There was a lot. There was quite a few. I mean, I had information that Bill Clinton had him killed. I mean, there was no, we did not follow up. There was a lot of calls, a lot of people claiming to have been involved. No.
Yeah. And further.
How many psychic witnesses did you have that were just spiritually there? Mm-hmm. I'm sure the amount of calls they got over the years were wild, which is not unusual in any case that garners a certain amount of attention.
Most of the time, they couldn't get any of the information correct.
Right. And so when you're determining, for instance, a confession, what are you looking for? Like, if someone says, I confess to this, what information do you use to determine whether it's correct or not?
Interesting.
They're like, what kind of vehicle were you in? How did the shooting occur? What kind of firearm was it? Where did you go from there? What preceded it? How did you? All of it. I mean, anything that you can find as in facts, you want to connect to them. I'm behind the 8 ball because I'm 15 years after the fact, or 14 years after the fact, trying to corroborate different things. But I mean, I made the attempts.
And with regard to the information that we're talking about here, was any of the information you're sharing with us already available to the public?
It's a good question.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there was information that's out there. I mean, there was so much interest in the case, I'm sure there was.
Now, just finally, in terms of your reaching out to people, Mr. Seawright, who was he?
The Attorney General of California.
And the District Attorney's Office requested that you reach out to the Attorney General of California?
They were going to do it. I was going to do it. Whoever could do it, which could be
Wouldn't
great.
it be U.S. Attorney?
And then in terms of the other people, Mr. Dupree or Detective Dupree, when was the first time you ever met Mr. Dupree or Detective Dupree? I apologize.
I liked Dupree a lot as a witness.
I'm not positive.
Was it in the meeting at 2009?
No, I had met him before that.
Can you give us sort of an estimation as to when that
He
was?
just
A couple
said he
years
doesn't know.
before. I think it had to do with one of the gun trip. I think is when I met him.
Oh, in 2006?
And just for my edification with that gun, was it a real gun?
Yeah, Glock 40.
Oh,
There's
so
a lot of Glock 40s out there. I had no idea there was that many.
Thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you, sir.
Glock 40 sure was popular. Had no idea how popular it was. But it sure a lot of them. Yeah, sure not unique. Did the defense help themselves in that redirect? at all? Like, I mean, I'm glad he asked a few more questions. The questions about how many tips did you get were good questions. I feel like we knew that. But I guess, was there info available to the public is a good question. But this witness doesn't know that. And we got that with the researcher. So how do you determine what's correct in a tip? Well, we verified the details. And Keffe D gave them a bunch of details that they had already verified. Like a bunch of other witnesses said it was a white Cadillac, and so did Keffe D. The Sebring was a detail that nobody knew before. These kinds of things. So, okay.
Real briefly. Well, Mr. Sampson.
We're moving on to recross. And I'm getting a little antsy to hear what the jury wants to ask this witness, honestly.
Were you able to corroborate?
Let me just back that up. Recross.
There's a lot of Glock 40s out there. I had no idea there was that many.
Yeah. Thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you, sir.
Real briefly. Well, Mr. Sampson, were you able to corroborate information that Mr. Davis gave you? You're talking about information you didn't already know, correct?
Correct.
There was a substantial amount of information in this file that Mr. Davis, Mr. Brown, Mr. Anderson, and Mr. Smith were in the car the night when the murder occurred.
Yes. The way I took when he asked me that is, did I do cooperation? Brent Becker and Mike Franks, the original detectives, corroborated a lot of different things. I didn't
good area for recross.
Specifically go back in time and do what they did.
You were relying upon the information they already had. So when Mr. Davis is telling you this story, it's not like the crazies that are calling saying, I killed Tupac or Tupac's still alive or all any of that stuff.
We knew it was coming in.
Nothing further.
That's a good recross. You didn't corroborate it because what Keffe D told you was mostly already corroborated by the other witnesses, the other reports, and the other work that was done. I think that was a really, really good recross. Though the prosecutor's like, so you didn't run down every lead that said Tupac's still alive? Great.
Any redirect? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions for Detective Long?
Jury questions?
Since you have a few.
Oh, I bet there's a few. All right. Well, I didn't think we would get a random Bill Clinton name drop out of this trial today, but there we were. The jury questions are always run by the attorneys at sidebar before they're asked. What are you doing, Keffe D? He's just like, he's playing patty cake and giving somebody the thumbs up behind him. I don't know if he thinks that was helpful. That was not, that did not go well for you, sir. He's giving somebody a thumbs up in the gallery. Yeah, I don't think that went well for you. I don't. Maybe you do, but I don't think that went well for you. I'm curious to see what the jury questions are. I feel like I want to zoom, but then again, the defendant keeps just doing shit. So, well, they're talking to the judge for a minute.
Oh, we have one more question.
There's another jury question. They're going back to sidebar. One more question. All right. Let's get to the jury questions.
Yeah, good question.
I zoom too close to the sun. Hit the like, said, no, EDB, he's just reminding everyone to hit the like button. I think you're right. I think Keffe D was just reminding you to give the video a thumbs up. I do not think that's true, but I love it so much. Let's see what the jury has to say. I'm here for it. I'm eagerly anticipating the audio coming back. There we go.
When your lieutenant said too many people were going into the Tupac murder file, what did they mean?
Yeah, good question. Officers were curious, and they would go in and see what was in there because there was a lot of stuff in social media. So they were going in to look and read. So he decided that wasn't going to happen anymore because the information could get out. So he locked it down.
Were you the only one assigned to Tupac's case?
In 2004, Sergeant Manning handed me the case to do any follow-up. There was a full squad I was on, 6 detectives and a sergeant. All of them were available to help. And we had some very experienced, very talented detectives on the squad. So
The judge's attention just shifted, and there was some other crosstalk in the courtroom that just grabbed my ADHD with both hands. I don't know what else is going on in the courtroom. I'm just going to back it up in case y'all got distracted too, because I absolutely lost his answer in that. There's crosstalk, the judge was talking, or the judge started looking at it. I don't know. So now I'm backing up to, were you the only one assigned to the case?
In 2004, Sergeant Manning handed me the case to do any follow-up. There was a full squad I was on, 6 detectives and a sergeant. All of them were available to help. And we had some very experienced, very talented detectives on the squad. So I would lean on them. Everybody's curious, why would they hand the case to a rookie? But I had access to some very, very experienced, excellent detectives.
They gave it to you because you had been on the gang squad. That's why they gave it to you. I mean, at least that seems obvious to me. So even though he's new on the homicide squad, on the gang squad, I'm sure he worked with homicide all the time. Also, I imagine when you have a case like this, a fresh set of eyes, and maybe someone who's got the energy of being newer on the squad is going to be a really good thing for that case. So.
Were you able to interview everyone who occupied the cream or white Cadillac?
No, they were all dead.
No. I tried to talk to Big Dre, DeAndre Smith. He died that same year. Orlando died in 1998 in a shootout at a car wash. And Mr. Brown died in, I believe it was 2015.
Did you ever interview Suge Knight about the shooting during the interview process?
I tried. I had a partner that had played football with him and knew him very, very well. And I was complaining that I could never even talk to Suge on the phone. So my partner says, I can make a phone call. We can have it right now. And he made a phone call, talked to Suge, and Suge hung up on him.
Suge was disinclined to acquiesce to your request. Right. Hey, Suge. Long time. So I'm working for Las Vegas Metro PD now. Click. Do you think it was a click, or do you think it was, don't call me again about this shit, motherfucker? You don't know me like that. Click. Right.
It was same old, same old.
You don't say. You don't say.
And I was complaining that I could never even talk to Suge on the phone. So my partner says, I can make a phone call. We can have it right now. And he made a phone call, talked to Suge, and Suge hung up on him.
Yeah.
It was same old, same old.
Do you know which arm was hurt, right or left arm, for Orlando Anderson?
I don't think we've ever gotten the answer to this question. But we've heard that Orlando Anderson said his arm hurt, said he needed to go to the hospital, needed to go get a sling. It matters because Orlando Anderson's the alleged shooter. Nobody's ever said which arm was hurt.
No, I do not. Sorry.
Were you able to verify and confirm Mr. Davis was actually in the white Cadillac the night of Tupac's murder? Yes, that's the question. Sorry, the handwriting.
I'm sorry, can you read it again?
Yeah. Were you able to verify and confirm Mr. Davis was actually in the white Cadillac the night of Tupac's murder?
by Mr. Davis telling me that he was in a white Cadillac on the night of the murder, and that the shooting came from that same white Cadillac.
Any follow-up based on that, Mr. Sampt?
But no actual facts outside of what Mr. Davis told you?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. DiGiacomo?
No.
All right, you are excused. Thanks, Detective Long.
Thank you.
No fireworks this time.
Mr. Sampt, any additional witnesses?
I don't know who just said no fireworks this time. I'm going to rewind.
DiGiacomo?
No.
All right, you are excused. Thanks, Detective Long.
Thank you.
No fireworks this time.
Mr. Sampt, any
I think
additional
it might have been the
witnesses?
witness.
No, Your Honor.
Do you rest?
We do, Your Honor.
Holy shit, the defense rests. It might have been him that said no fireworks this time because he's looking at the judge. I liked that witness. The defense is resting. I'm going to put up a poll. I want to see what else happens, but I'm going to put up a poll. Yeah. All right. I'm putting up a poll. Was that a good witness for the defense to end their case on? Yes or no? 2 options, yes or no. That's it. No in between. Yes or no. That's it. Was that a good witness for the defense to end their case on? The defense rests. Okay.
Excused. Thanks, Detective Long.
Thank you.
No fireworks this time.
Mr. Sampt, any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Do you rest?
We do, Your Honor.
State any rebuttal witnesses.
No, Your Honor.
What?
So you've not reopened your case. Okay, so at this time, the presentation of the evidence in this case is closed. What we have to do amongst ourselves is settle the law that applies to this case. And we are going to have everyone back on Monday at 9 a.m. for closing arguments. Please, during the recess, you're admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial of any person connected to this case by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, the internet, and radio, or form or express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until it is submitted to you. Please rise for the jury, everyone.
So we're done. The defense put on their 3 witnesses. I think they ended with the strongest witness against their case. And even if the first 2 witnesses might have muddied the water, the 3rd witness definitely unmuddied it. The prosecution is bringing in no rebuttal witnesses. I think the prosecution feels like that last witness was a really good witness to end their case on. I think they're right. I think that was a terrible last witness. I think the defense should have reversed the order of the witnesses. I don't know if it really undoes what the defendant has said. But the prosecution is like, nah, we're going to leave it with that guy. That guy came back and said, we wanted to arrest him after that interview. He confirmed facts that we already knew. He put himself in the car. We had enough to arrest him for murder. I wanted to arrest him for murder. And then we got stonewalled by his own attorney, by the feds. We couldn't figure out what kind of deal he had. We needed more information, and that information never came. So by the time he retired, he was waiting for that additional information. Did you try to talk to anyone else in the white Cadillac? Yeah, I did. But they were gone. Tried to talk to Big Dre. Big Dre's like, hey, fuck you. Peace. And the other 2 were dead before he was assigned the case file. So, well, the jury's back on Monday. The jury's back on Monday for closing arguments. And I imagine the defense's closing arguments are going to be, there's no evidence outside of my client's own statements. And my client is a bullshitter, you guys. Don't believe my client. My client's a bullshitter. So let's see what they talk about with scheduling of the charging conference, because they've still got to do the charge conference. So the jury is out for the day. the evidence phase of the trial is done. The defense has rested after 3 witnesses. The state put on no rebuttal. Closing arguments Monday. Holy shit. Okay. Let's see what they talk about with the charging conference. I mean, if they're ready, they could probably do that today. God damn it. The defense could have had all these witnesses yesterday. They could have been done with this shit yesterday. Those are 2 days that the jury came in for like a blink. This defendant keeps looking at somebody, but that's an interesting witness to leave this jury on over the weekend.
All right, the jury is exited. You can be seated. Scheduling wise, what remains to be done is jury's instructions being settled. What time do we want to do those tomorrow? I was leaving that up to defense because there were some obligations that they had.
We're still asking for 9 o'clock.
Does 9 o'clock work better for you? We'll do tomorrow at 9 then?
Yes.
And I think we should be done by the time that you need. And Mr. Davis, do you want to be present to settle jury instructions? It's up to you.
His attorney's shaking his head.
It's kind of like legal
He
arguments.
should be
If you
there.
want to be here, we'd be happy to have you.
His attorney's shaking his head like, no, If counsel, not advice to another attorney, but also advice to another attorney. If this dude is your client and everything you've seen go down with all his other attorneys, just have him in the room. It is a critical stage of the proceedings. Just have him in the room. Have him in the room. Sir, do you want to come in tomorrow? Yes. Attorney, look at your client and be like, yes. You want to see what the charging documents are. Don't tell him no. Protect yourself. Bring your client in. But the court's giving him the option to be there or not, and counsel looks to me like he's shaking his head. I don't think I've ever seen a defendant not be present for the charging conference.
It's kind of like legal arguments. If you want to be here, we'd be happy to have you. If you don't want to be here, you don't have to. You want to waive your appearance for that? Okay. So I'll then just see the attorneys back 9 a.m. tomorrow.
A lot of you are asking, why wouldn't the defendant want to be in the room? It really depends often on what transportation looks like. Because there are some defendants who, depending on what transportation looks like, they're up at like 3, 4 a.m. to get to court, and court days kind of suck. So I can understand if Keffe D is like, I mean, if I don't have to get up and be here, I don't want to get up and be here. So it just really depends on what the court transportation and days look like. A lot of LA defendants complained about court days, that how early they had to be up to get to court, that they didn't often get breakfast before they left because it was too early. So they got like paper sack, breakfast, and lunch, and they fucking hated it. But if I'm the attorney, I'm like, no, you're going to be here. It's one day. It's a couple hours. You're going to be here, because then he can't say, well, I wasn't there for that. Not that it really matters. His input isn't going to change things on jury instructions, but interesting choice. Interesting choice.
If you want to be here, we'd be happy to have you. If you don't want to be here, you don't have to.
He said no.
You want to waive your appearance for that? Okay. So I'll then just see the attorneys back 9 a.m. tomorrow. It's not presentation of evidence. It's just settling the jury instructions.
We know.
It should be pretty quick. And then the next big thing for everyone watching at home is going to be closings 9 a.m. on Monday.
Well, thanks
Okay,
for your
sounds good.
consideration, Your Honor.
All right, we'll see everyone back 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Thank you.
So we're done. Like, done. Okay, let's try to summarize today, shall we? What a wild last 2 days in court we've had. What an absolutely wild last 2 days in court. So we're in the defense's case on day 9 of the state of Nevada versus Duane Davis, aka Keffe D, aka Chitty Chitty Chat Chat. And The defense brought in their 3 witnesses and rested. The prosecution brought no rebuttal witnesses. The jury has been dismissed until Monday. Closing arguments are going to be 9 a.m. Pacific, Monday morning. Tomorrow, we are going to cover the charging conference. I might cover it a bit on delay because I have a meeting and then I won't have to move it. But we will cover the charging conference tomorrow. I just might cover it a little bit on delay. The court said it should be quick. I think going through the jury instructions will be interesting for us. And then I did promise that if the jury instructions were quick, we could take a look at any interviews Suge Knight has given during this trial. So I will pull those tonight and we will go through some of those interviews. This trial was just moving right along and then just came to a screeching halt. And scene. The prosecution ended with the defendant's own words, and the defense chose to end with one of the most recent homicide investigators on this case, the investigator that went and interviewed Keffe D in 2009 and elicited that as he was driving back from LA to Vegas, he was like, I'm going to write an arrest warrant. We're going to charge Keffe D for murder. And he went to the district attorney's office, and the district attorneys are like, hey, so stand down. We've got some questions. And we want to know why Dupree and Higgins and Keffe D are all having that little chitty chat when you're out of the room. And we want to know what's going on with if he has a proffer, if he doesn't have a proffer. And so they called up Attorney Higgins, who wouldn't talk to them. And then they called up the U.S. Attorney's Office, who wouldn't talk to them. And then they tried to reach out to Dupree and see if they could talk to Big Dre, who was the only one that had been in the vehicle that was still alive. And then that never happened. And then, well, this witness retired in 2017 and nothing of significance happened until 2023, which brings me back around to, I think that from everything we've heard, the district attorney's office was really concerned that if they arrested Keffe D, they would have some significant evidence issues with whether or not they would be allowed to use his statements against him. And those evidence issues started to disappear the more Keffe D continued to talk. And the district attorneys were correct in that, because by the time they argued being able to use Keffe D's statements, including proffered statements, in this trial, the court allowed all of that evidence in. And we're going to need to go back and look at some of those rulings, I think, after this trial is done, to take a look at exactly how and why the court made those rulings. But from A, rules of evidence, and B, everything we've seen in this case, those proffers are no longer exactly what's being used against him, because the proffers aren't telling us anything the defendant hadn't already said publicly after the proffers. In the interviews on YouTube, in the interview with Las Vegas PD, which was not a proffer, just an interview, and in his own book. So now you have all these public statements that were not proffers that allows for those proffers to come in and be used. And then all of a sudden the feds decided to be cooperative, which explains so much when the Fed witness came in, why they were like, and did you have to get permission to be allowed to talk about this here today? Yes, I had to get permission from like the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office and everybody else. We had to get a whole bunch of TUI information. And then we learned that, again, Suge was playing football with this Detective Long's partner, and Detective Long called up Suge because they wanted to have a chit-chat with him, because Suge had been a victim in all of this. And the response they got was click. So, no more witnesses, no more evidence, which means no Suge, no Diddy, no Kading, no Detective Mogg. I wonder how that's going to go in closing, but I think the defense ended their evidence on a witness who was far better for the prosecution than for the defense. And I wonder why they called that witness and didn't just leave it at the first 2 witnesses. With the first 2 witnesses today, the defense established that there was a white or cream-colored Cadillac that had gone to Suge's residence and then left with the entourage of cars. It had 2 individuals in it. That Mike Tyson showed up for a party at Suge Knight's house and then was told by the gate, hey, no party here tonight. They've already left. And then they left. And the last witness, I think, kind of erased all of that testimony. But I think in closing, what we're going to see from the defense is, well, ladies and gentlemen, if the only evidence there is my client's own statements, you can't possibly convict him on that because there's unanswered questions about this other white Cadillac and Baby Lane hurt his arm and he needed a sling, so he couldn't be the shooter. And everything that Keffe D said was already out in the public, which isn't true. I think that actually would misstate the evidence. But what Keffe D said was already out in the public. And it's going to be on the prosecution to remind the jury the things and details that Keffe D gave back in 2000 and, back in 1998, 99 with the feds that wasn't known publicly. The details he originally gave to Dupree, I keep switching between the 2 pronunciations, but the statements that were originally given to Dupree that had details in them that weren't known publicly. And we heard more from the last witness today that one of the concerns Las Vegas had was that if everybody's taken a look at this police file, there might be those little details in the police file that get out into the public, and that further taints the ability to say, this witness gave us information that no one else knew publicly. Not in a book, not a detail that was known. And the Sebring is one of those details. And it's up to the prosecution to remind the jury of those details. And I imagine that when the jury gets this case, they're going to want to look. If you're the jury, tell me what you want to look at. I imagine they're going to want to look at all those interviews that they saw clips of, the YouTube interviews. Because wouldn't you want to go watch those? And they might want to see, more of what's in the defendant's book. They've heard about the defendant's book. They've seen parts of the defendant's book, but they've not seen the whole thing, and it's in evidence. And they're going to have the ability to go through the evidence. And so depending on how long closing arguments take on Monday, there's always a question of how quick will this jury be? I imagine the jury's going to want to sit down and look at some of those things. Maybe they don't. Maybe they've heard enough of Keffe D talking. Maybe they're just we've heard it. Maybe they want to look at the scrapbook, but I imagine the jury's going to want to have a conversation, is going to want to talk to each other about this case, and is going to want to go through some of those items of evidence, truly. So, closing arguments on Monday. Tomorrow, we're going to go through charging. We'll see if the defense asks for lesser included charges. We'll see what instructions the defense asks for, and we'll hear exactly what the jury needs to decide. Charging conferences are quite interesting. I will let you know in the app what time we're going to do the charging conference. Probably about 1 p.m. Central tomorrow is my guess. I just need to take a look at my schedule, and then I don't have to move things around too much. Again, nothing's going to happen in the charging conference. It's going to be breaking news. I'm going to knock on wood with that. Breaking news. So we're going to go to the charging conference tomorrow. We're going to go to closing arguments on Monday. Law nerds. Let's get to some questions, shall we? It just came screeching to an end there, and it's crazy to me. All right, I asked all of you, was that a good witness for the defense to end their case on? Yes, 11%, no, 89%, with over 2,000 votes. Cleopatra said, what sentence is Keffe D looking at if convicted? Life. He's facing life. He could get 50. He could get 50 to life. I don't think there's an option for 25, but life is the maximum sentence here. All right, let's get to questions. You've got questions. I've got questions. We've got questions. Let's chat real quick. I will say Keffe D is in his 60s. Has already had health issues, has already been through cancer. So from, 50 to this, to this, to this, he's facing life. So we'll see. I don't know if he was offered a deal, but I will go back and look. There's a few things I want to pull together for tomorrow. I'll go back and look, and then we will see. So I think the direct quote when I was looking at Keffe D being offered a deal is that any more time in custody is basically a life sentence. So he's not doing that. So let's see. Saskia said, Emily, are you concerned about that one juror question about him being in the car? I don't think any of the juror questions have been concerning, but then again, I'm here to see how this case turns out and how the prosecution presents their case. I don't know if the prosecution feels the same way I do, but I think that the jury has been really thoughtful in their questions, and they're going to have to go through the deliberation process and decide if they believe Keffe D or not. I mean, that's the question at the end of this is, does the jury believe Keffe D's statements? And it's not just one statement. It is consistent statement after statement after statement after statement. And then he's sitting there in that Vlad TV interview and is like, I beat cancer. I beat the government. I beat the streets. What do you take away from that statement with I beat the government? You let me know what you think. I don't think he was talking about his taxes. I don't think he was talking about taxes. You tell me what you think on that. The defense didn't recall Dupree like they said they were going to do. No, they didn't. They sure didn't recall Dupree, and I don't think it would have helped if they had. I don't think it would have helped at all. Keffe D doesn't need to attend the charging conference because Keffe D invented jury instructions. Hunk Banana, no, you're correct. And that's on me for forgetting that Keffe D actually invented the concept of law and jury trials. So yeah, he doesn't need to be there because he knows. It's very fair. It's very fair. Gap in ATL said, EDB, what do you think about the last juror question? Seems to me like they might still be looking for proof he was in the car. They might be. Well, not they might be. One of them may be. Sure, one of them may be. But it's not just up to one juror. And it will be interesting to see how those questions inform how the attorneys tie this case together in closing arguments. If I'm the lawyer, I would rather know the unanswered questions for the jurors than just be staring at their faces trying to derive it from vibes. And at least one juror asked the question. They probably know roughly which juror it was. And so they're going to have a better opinion on that to be able to tie this back together. But the prosecution has to tie this back together. There might be jurors that are like, this dude's statements aren't enough for me. That's completely possible. We'll see if the other jurors agree. But I think the jurors are going to need to have some discussion. This case is 30 years old. And I imagine there are jurors that are like, well, if it was that slam dunk, why the fuck did it take so long? Is that a valid question? It's a totally valid question. Now, should it go to guilt or innocence? No, but jurors are humans. And there's not really been a full answer of what changed to allow them to prosecute it. We heard a lot of what happened before 2017. We know that between 2017 and 2019, defendant then released his book and started talking, and maybe the prosecution will argue that in closing. But the prosecution also can't say, well, we decided to charge it because this, and that, because that's not in evidence. The prosecution has to be mindful to only argue what's in evidence and say in 2017, when this detective retired, this was the nature of the case. And then in 2019, Keffe D told the world the truth in his book. And you have that in evidence. And that book tells you exactly what happened that night. And it's consistent with this interview, this interview, this interview, this interview. And you only heard a vague allusion to Keffe D saying, well, I was getting paid to say that. And they're like, you wrote a book. He's like, Yeah, I did. I wrote the book. And if I'm the prosecution, I'm also arguing that Keffe D says he beat the government. And arguing that Keffe D thought that by the time he wrote his book and made all these statements, that everyone had forgotten about it and that nobody was turning around and coming back after him. And he was wrong. So it's going to be incredibly interesting. Let's see. I'm going to answer a few more questions. Thank you guys for the member chats and super chats. Sabina, no, we're not. Mike Tyson was just trying to go to a party. Imagine my surprise, said Emily, did we hear Las Vegas's recording or LA's recording? There was not an LA recording. The Las Vegas detective thought there was an LA recording. There was not. That was the Las Vegas recording that we heard, and they talked about that with Dupree. Do we think Keffe will testify? I talked about that at the very beginning of this episode, why I thought Keffe would not testify. It puts his attorney in a real awkward position, and we've seen attorneys put in awkward positions by their clients before. It happened in the Walsh case quite starkly. But the whole theory of the case is they have no evidence other than my guy's statement, and my guy's a bullshitter. It's kind of hard to turn around and put him on the stand and be like, and now tell us the truth. It would be difficult. Yeah, it would be difficult. CS Tears said Kading did it first, though. Kading did put out a book first, but Keffe D's statements to law enforcement all predated the book, and the details in Keffe D's statements to law enforcement all predated Kading's book. And they can't prosecute Keffe D off of Kading's book. They can prosecute Keffe D off of Keffe D's statements, but they can't prosecute Keffe D off of what Kading said. And what Kading said in his book comes from what Keffe D told them and his investigation. But Keffe D can't change his statements in 2008 and 2009 to conform to the book that comes out in 2011, if that makes sense. I think it would be real interesting to see what Keffe D has to say on his jail calls over the weekend. There are times, a lot of you ask if there are ever times I miss being a district attorney. I miss having the tea. The work is quite a lot. But man, would I love to know what Keffe D is saying over the weekend, because they are going to be listening to what Keffe D has to say over the weekend before closing, if he's on the phones. If he's smart, he won't be. But then again, we're talking about Keffe D's chitty chat. So I'm not convinced that Keffe D will be quiet over the weekend. I'm not convinced he'll be quiet. I thought we heard an LA recording with Greg Kading and Dupree. We did. We heard the 2008 recording, but when it came to the Las Vegas interview with Long, the Las Vegas interview with Long was Long's recording of the interview. And we heard that LAPD didn't record it. So CS Tier said, okay, thanks. That makes a little more sense. But I feel like that's what Keffe D was thinking. Oh, I think that's probably what Keffe D was thinking too. I don't disagree with you. I think Keffe D thought, A, if he hadn't been arrested, he's not getting arrested. B, if Kading already put it out there, obviously they're not going to turn around and arrest him. C, I think when he was doing all that talking, he wasn't sure how much longer he was going to live. He lost parents to cancer. He's lost almost everyone else around him, from what we know, fairly young due to either cancer or gang violence. A lot of the detectives in this case are already gone and have passed. The other witnesses are gone and have passed. Zip is gone and have passed. Suge's in prison. Do you think Keffe D would have released this book if Suge wasn't in prison? Do you think the audacity would have carried? Do you think if Suge was still on the streets that he would have put this book out with Suge Knight all over it, Suge Knight's name all over it? I'm curious what y'all think. So, yeah, Keffe D's misperception of what he would be charged for, I can understand where he's coming from. I just don't think he's correct. Yeah. So, a lot of you are like, no, it would have been different. Right. I think so too. Cindy said, I think no defense case would have been a better choice. they might have left it with just that first witness who was like, no, there was another white Cadillac going in and out. If they had left it with just that witness, it might have just muddied the water a little bit. But then the prosecution could have called witnesses on rebuttal, but then let them do that. Let them do it. So let's see. Did they end asking him if he wants to testify? No, they didn't finish the colloquy with the defendant. They did not. I don't know if they did it before the case went on the record, which would be weird, but no, they didn't. They gave the colloquy yesterday, but then again, the defense rested. Maybe I think they'll put it on the record. I just don't know when. They also didn't do motion to dismiss, motion for judgment of acquittal. They didn't put that on the record either. So I was also confused about that. But I'm going to look for that tomorrow. That weather guy, I'm assuming WX is weather. Please let me know if I'm incorrect. That weather guy, I would have asked about the airspeed velocity of an unladen Sparrow, not Barry's boxing. 100%. 100%. Because, you've just got two coconuts banging them together. Right. Where'd the coconuts come from? Agreed. Everyone who is asking, Emily, what the fuck are you? Monty Python. Monty Python. Monty Python? We're talking about Monty Python. Exactly. 11 in the chat said African or European. Swallow. Exactly. It's a matter of where he grips it. Truly. I can't believe this case, you guys. I can't believe this case. I'm still kind of stunned that this all just wrapped up. And I don't know what the defense question was about Barry's boxing. I have no idea. I know the defense didn't ask anyone what their favorite color was. They only asked one witness about sharks doing shark things. I know. Northwest NW says impossible. 2 light colored caddies in Vegas. Right. Lyndon said some of this trial has been very Monty Python-esque. There were really times when the defense started asking questions that it felt like we were just watching Legally Blonde with okay, so you didn't hear the gunshots because you were in the shower. Yes. So you were in the shower when, yes. Okay. I liked the defense's theory of the case when we heard it in opening. The defense's decisions and skill of questioning as we went on became a bit frustrating. Also, the courtroom is a little unconventional in that everybody was just a bit more relaxed. I mean, we got the Monster Energy drink just sitting on the bailiff's desks. The prosecution was sitting in their chair so kicked back they were almost horizontal to the ground while questioning was happening. They're objecting from like this. Yeah, Your Honor, I think leading. I think that seems like leading from here, Your Honor. Can we just? I'm objecting. Like just so kicked back. Like you're in a murder trial and we're just like leaned back. And then everybody's wandering all over the place. Just everybody's wandering. People are snacking in the audience, which I'm fine with if you're going to let people have snackies in the audience. It's unusual, but people were there were snackies in the audience. People were just rolling in with Starbucks. Okay. Nobody was chewing gum on the record that I noticed. So that was great. But it was just a less formal courtroom vibe. And then when Keffe D was talking to the judge did not say once, "Sir, you need to talk to your lawyer." No, the judge was like, "I understand your concerns." But also, and then continued to talk back to him. I was, It was just a different vibe. Just a different vibe than courtrooms that we've seen. However, I really liked the judge's demeanor. The judge was decisive. The judge kept things moving along. The attorneys generally worked well together, even though I thought the prosecution was throwing mad shade at the defense today. The prosecution's like, yeah, we stipulated to all of those in evidence. I mean, the defense didn't make a very good record about it, but they're stipulated, Your Honor. It's fine. They did seem to work well together. We didn't have a ton of fights over evidence. The attorneys weren't just trying to jam each other up for no reason. When the defense had concerns, they brought it up, they addressed it with the court, and it moved on pretty quickly. So, all in all, it was a knocking on the desk. It was a pretty normal trial. Like it was a pretty normal trial. There were definitely moments. The defense being like, "Oh shit, I forgot that that's right, it's my case. That was weird." The defense is just like, I'm asking the direct questions. He's allowed to ask the leading questions. Everyone just forgot we were in the defense's case today. And the defense is like, that's weird. That's my bad. But also that was kind of the vibe of the courtroom. I wouldn't be surprised if the jury chuckled a little bit. Then again, if the jury was fucking tired, the jury might have been like, we were here for like 30 minutes yesterday. We've been here for like 2 hours today. And now we're having a 3-day weekend? It just depends on how the jury's feeling. But the jury was qualified through the end of the first week of September. So the case moved along pretty quick. But all in all, it really seemed to move along pretty smoothly. I'm curious to see how the judge chooses alternates in this courtroom. We haven't seen that. And, generally the attorneys worked fairly well together. It seemed. I'm sure there were contentious moments during the pretrial motions. Most of those weren't televised. And after the case is to verdict, I can grab some of those documents. The file is sealed while it's in trial, but I'll grab some of those documents. I'm curious to how the judge ruled about the proffer statements. And you might be curious as well. We'll go through those in a post-trial. There's going to be a ton of stuff we need to catch up on after trial. Of course there will be. There always is. And we've got other hearings and other cases that we'll be catching up on now, well, as this trial wraps up. But we're still going to be on verdict watch in this case. So we're not going to be just done with it just yet. But I really, really want to know. I really want to know everything that the detective today didn't say. Like everything that was going through his brain while he was pausing to answer what the complications were. I am so curious. I am really curious about how that conversation went when he came back from LA and is like, he told us everything. He told us everything. Let's arrest him. And the DA's office is like, so about that, no. So curious. There is so much there. And I wish we knew all of it. And maybe one day we will, but I wish we knew all of it. And I'm still real curious. I'm still real curious. So we'll see. But this case came to a screeching halt, and we didn't see some of the witnesses we were hoping to see. Do I think that Suge Knight was ever going to tell anyone anything? No. But do I think it would be interesting to see them try to question him? Yes. I really wanted that to happen. Prosecutors aren't just calling in witnesses for lulz in a murder trial. But also, would it have hurt their case if they called Suge Knight to the stand and Suge's like, I'm not telling you? Would that have hurt their case in any way? Or would it have been consistent with what we've heard? Keffe D said you looked at him that night. Did you look at him that night? Did you see Keffe D the night before? I think there's a lot of valid reasons to call Suge to the stand because he's the only one that was there that is still alive that can tell us. I don't think he would. But I'd sure love to see them try. Give it a try. He's in custody. You know where he is. Bring him in. See what he says. Salensi says Suge would have said buy my book. Yes. Probably. Yeah, I don't remember. But it's in my book. Coming out this winter. You can drop your $20 and see what I have to say about it. But man, that would have been interesting. So tomorrow we are going to go through the charging conference. We are going to go through some of the interview snippets that Suge has given after the charging conference, because I imagine the charging conference will go pretty quick. And then we're into closing arguments on Monday. I know there are things going on in other cases that we're covering. Don't worry, we'll get there. This case is going to be on verdict watch after Monday. So don't worry, we'll get there. And we will catch up on other cases. But I want to see how they tie this together in closing arguments. I'm real curious to see. I do love that the Suge's like, only God and the HOA can judge me. Suge's like, I will acquiesce to the HOA. That was pretty fucking funny. That was really funny. Suge's like, well, he had some problems with the HOA. That was unexpected. The yeah, we got a bunch of tips that Bill Clinton had Tupac killed was unexpected. Suge Knight acquiescing to the rules of the HOA in his gated community, unexpected, but also it makes sense. QVD's out here like, Suge's got them cops on payroll. I'm not saying that's not true. Suge's got them cops on payroll, and Suge's like, fucking HOA told me I had to have security if we were having a party. So we had security because we were having a party. And then they bounced before Mike Tyson even got there. What? What a weird day. What a weird day. How unusual this case has been. So he's like, all right, well, I guess that's fine. Gap and ATL said, why in the world did the defense call this witness not knowing what information he had? The witness would have known all this information because it would have been in the reports the defense had, which is why they knew to call them. How the defense knew that and then chose to still call him is wild to me. Wild to me. Chat says, including, yeah, H-Mom MG, Mike Tyson lived in the same gated neighborhood as Suge 2 doors down. I'm behind, sorry if it's been addressed. I'm sure chat let us know. I was just curious it didn't come in evidence, but it seemed interesting that they said that Tyson came in and then turned around and left. I wonder if they were like, hey, yeah, they're all going to the 662 club. But why was Suge Knight planning a party at his house if Tupac was also performing at the 662 club that night? That's confusing to me a little bit. Kenzie, good to see you in the chat. Kenzie KG said, defense, have you heard of the Lawnerd app? Witness, no. Defense, link in the description, no further questions. Have you heard of Barry's boxing? Yes. No further questions. What the fuck? Maybe the defense was taking like, don't leave the witness on a bad answer in a different direction. But yeah, it really did feel like, so what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? How do you feel about orzo? Like, are you reading Dungeon Crawler Carl? I don't know. It was a random question for me. Cookies and cream. It's still going to take me a minute on the orzo, and yes to DCC. So we'll tune in for the charging conference tomorrow. I'll keep you posted in the Lawnerd app. Let's see. Can the attorneys... Music Addict said, can the attorneys look into what's being said online public discourse surrounding the case to craft their closing? Are they allowed to do that? The attorneys can look at whatever they want. I will just say that in my experience, in what I've observed in the world, and in watching cases from both doing my own cases and from watching cases here like this, the attorneys keeping an eye on what's being said makes sense. I do not think attorneys should craft their closing to what the internet is saying, because the jurors are who they have to craft their closing to. And they have to keep in mind that the internet has more information than the jurors do. And these jurors have asked some really pointed and specific questions. I think tuning out the noise, and I don't think there's as much noise in this case as there are in others, but looking at the questions people might have asked, I think they're better off looking at the questions that the jury asked. And I think trying to shift your case to answer the internet and not try your case to your jury is a losing strategy. I think the prosecution has to follow through on what they said in opening, what was proven in the case. Now, if the prosecution, for example, looked at, I'm going to use me as an example. Why? Because I'm a content creator and I can. If they looked at me making the point that the photo in that big box of photos looked like the photo in the book, that photo in the big box of photos is an evidence and they look like the same photo. Could they point that out to the jury? The defendant's saying this isn't his book, but look at these photos. These are his photos. Look at this photo in the book. Look at that photo right there. We know these are the defendants. He was selling a treatment of this, telling everybody it was the truth. So could they take inspiration from that? Sure. Have we seen attorneys do that in the past with cases where they're looking at what the attorneys are saying, asking about the cases? Sure. But the prosecution has to run their own race. So whatever sports analogy you want to use, follow your own arrow, stay in your own lane, run your own race. That is the job as the prosecution. I think for the defense, that can shift a little, where the defense can look at the questions being raised online and be like, oh, I hadn't connected those two dots, because the defense can just kind of throw it all up against the wall and see what sticks. Their job is to raise doubt and to point out where there's doubt. And so if questions being asked are questions they might not have thought of, I think that is something the defense can be like, but what about this? And you heard this. And what about that? And could it have been Bill Clinton? I don't think that would be a good argument for closing, but why is he talking about Justin Bieber so much? So it's different for the two different attorneys. It's a good question. And yes, attorneys are allowed to look at everything that's being said online, but they should not change their case because of it unless it resonates with what the jury is seeing. And this jury asked questions. They should focus on that for sure. Doctor Who said, Keffe D invented turning people into newts. Keffe D invented the Knights Who Say Knee as well. In fact, Keffe D is both Monty and Python. And his anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hon. Emily, don't bring Sir Mix-a-Lot into this. I know. We have left. Sir Mix-a-Lot gets to reign supreme and not being mentioned in all of this. Sir Mix-a-Lot's like, thank you so much. I'm doing my own shit. Leave me be. So imagine my surprise says it's a treasure map. The attorney's hoping to find the gold, or the point, truly, or the pickleball. I love the music transition. And 43 months is wild. Congratulations on being a law nerd for 43 months. Metroid said, just because if I was long, I'd unretire to get Keffe D straight to jail and see my work finally have success with metal bracelets on him. I think Long was probably dumbfounded by the amount of talking Keffe D did. Truly. I'm still dumbfounded by the amount of talking Keffe D did. Because if Keffe D thought, and this is just my opinion, if Keffe D thought that he needed to somehow clear his name, write the book, leave instructions, publish it after death. Just, you can't be prosecuted then. You can still put the book out. Your family can go on a book tour. If your kids want to promote it, they can. Why put yourself in the position where this might come back to bite you? But I think that Keffe D wanted to start clearing his name and could not leave it unsaid any longer and thought that he was safe. And so he was like, nah, I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk. And I think he wanted to be around to see how people responded to that and to see what everybody else is saying about him. But I do think Suge going to prison was probably a big part of that. Hold on. What year did Suge Knight go to prison on that last case? I have it in my notes. I just don't have it top of mind. I'm going to find it though. Give me 1 second. Because now I'm curious. Now I'm curious. Let's see. That is the wrong file. Let's see. I mean, I guess when did Suge Knight go to prison this last time? Was it 2018? I think it might have been 2018. He was arrested. The event was in 2015. His plea was in 2018. Yeah, he was sentenced in October 2018. And Keffe D's book came out in 2019. And the interview on Death Row Chronicles came out in 2018. Right. It might explain a little bit of the timing on why Keffe D didn't respond to Kading's book until 2019. He waited until Suge was in prison. In my opinion. Seems to make sense. All right. Law Nerds, I'm going to go see my kiddo. I can't believe that we're done streaming so early. MZ in the chat said, how long is he in for? 20? He was sentenced to 28 years. So he was sentenced to 28 years. And I would imagine that Keffe D was like, I'm not going to be here for 28 years more. So we're good. We're good. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk more about Suge Knight tomorrow. We're going to see some of the statements Suge Knight has made while this trial has been going on, because we've been waiting to hear what Suge has to say. So we're going to have to just go with his interviews from custody tomorrow after the charging conference. So that's the plan for tomorrow. Monday, we're going to be in closing arguments. Then we're going to be on verdict watch. This case just zoomed. This zoomed. It's really nice. I moved kiddo into college. His trial's been relatively normal, and it's going to be parents' weekend before I know it. Just take a breath. Tom Mitchell said in California, that's like 5. No, not for Suge. He got sentenced under 3 strikes. So no, he's not going to get the type of reduced time you normally see. I'm not interviewing Suge tomorrow. Suge's been chitty chatting on the recorded jail lines with TMZ. So we're going to pull those up tomorrow. We're going to take a look at what he's been saying because we haven't done that yet. So we're going to have a little time tomorrow. We'll do it. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what level of self-snitching Keffe D finds himself with when we're back tomorrow and on Monday. Law Nerds, you're the best. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. It's good to see you. Thank you, Team Baker. I can't believe how fast today went. Thank you to our sponsor, Incogni, for, maybe we'll have to play Hit 'em Up again on stream. We'll see how that goes. Maybe not. Maybe not on that one. You guys are the best. Thank you for riding with me on this trial. I know it's the oldest case we've covered. I was really curious to see what happened. And who knew that Suge acquiesced to his HOA? Or that people thought Bill Clinton killed Tupac? Or that Keffe D started talking about this case not that long after it happened and did not stop? You learn something new when you watch a trial. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you don't miss a live stream or any of the updates on the cases that you care about most with the Law Nerd app at lawnerdapp.com. It's a free download on iOS and Android, so I can keep you in the loop. Because you never know when something's going to pop off. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being a Law Nerd.